A pretty negative afternoon here as we continue to chop around as far as the S&P and NASDAQ are concerned. There are a few areas of a little bit of support this afternoon. We'll try and be positive here. One of those is the energy group right now. I did note that pretty much the entire thing, including this one, XOM up about 1.2%. Oil itself pushing 2%. And that's well off the highs from early on this morning. So a nice bounce back day for oil in general. If you missed it at 10:30 this morning, a much larger than expected drawdown in crude oil inventories for last week. It was 5 million barrels versus about 500,000 of a drawdown expected there. So we did get a little bit of a pop for energy names, as I mentioned, standing out here as far as the group is concerned to the upside. XOM, the leader as far as percentages go, but all of them in positive territory so far this afternoon. Everything else, though, yeah, it's not good. A lot of red on here. Tesla getting sold off hard into earnings. We'll touch on that. I'll show you in a second here, but down more than 4%. Again, set to report after the close if you've missed that today. Amazon down 2%. The rest of the retailers under a little bit of pressure outside of Costco and Walmart. Both Visa and MasterCard lower to start the afternoon as well. NVIDIA 2 days in a row, ugly. 2% here for AMD as well. Intel 1.3% as well, coming off that note from yesterday from the U.S. government on the Chinese restrictions. Adobe, the standout as far as the software names are concerned. Overall, 0.4, 0.4, and 0.3 for Apple, Google, and Microsoft. There's NVIDIA right now trying to bounce a little bit off the lows. Once again, trying to hold on to that 420 area back to the bottom end of the range. On the daily chart, that's Tesla. There's been very, very little bounce so far today. 243 held briefly, but here we are trying to work back towards 244 again. Earnings after the close, a lot of people getting out apparently before that comes. You saw on that note there, Treasury yields back to the highs. And I'm not even talking about today. I'm talking about 2-week highs right across the board. The 30-year specifically, almost 5.1, highest level since 2001 for the 30-year. So those longer-term yields still leading the charge, 10, 20, 30-year yields still just absolutely marching to the upside. We did have a bit of a pullback on the 2-year today. It did start the day higher as well, but back downside. There is UAL, 8.3%, if you missed it, reported after the close yesterday. They pointed to a whole bunch of issues going forward, including demand being one of those. It was nothing but straight downside out of the gate. The first thing we were discussing, if you're with us in the pre-market this morning, make sure you do that every single day. Join us at 8:30. We get going around 9 o'clock with everything individually that is moving around before the open. UAL pretty ugly here, guys. Back 2-day lows.
Yeah. Unmute. Haha! I'm not muted.
Neo, what the heck?
It's on and it's not muted.
It's beige book.
That time. Okay, can you guys hear me? It wasn't muted that time for me.
I can hear you just fine.
Denied. I know, I'm just giving you a hard time. So a couple of things are happening. I want to quickly show this. This is TLT. I just wolfed down a Snickers, so still kind of chewing through it. This is TLT bouncing since that 1 o'clock move and consolidating and looking like it's breaking higher. And I flipped into Apple on this last little dip because I did not see Treasuries rolling over. If it can hold on to VWAP, I think it can get back into this 177, 177.25 area. That could be a nice little move, but the market is stair-stepping into the downside. Okay, let's get back to UAL. I did try UAL off 37. I said, I'm sitting this one out unless it gets to 37. Can I zoom this out far enough? There you go. 37 level was pretty much all I wanted to play for. I felt if it didn't bounce here, like out in the ether, who knows where it could get to. SSR would have been 36. That would have been 10% down. So waited for it to get down there. Wasn't really looking for the short off the open because I was not planning on trading the airline off that open. It had one little teeny bounce off 37 to like 37.15 and then broke the bottom. I did not play it since. It's still holding underneath, even though it's had a couple of decent bounces. It did not tag 10% down, so any bounce isn't really a short sell restricted bounce. That will come at just shy of $36 even. If it gets there, I'm probably going to be involved in UAL if I see that 36 even. But not a great day for them. Not a great day for travel in general. CCL didn't really have a good day either if you're watching what's going on there. Actually, yeah, CCL was, they're awful. Like, forget about not a good day. Like, these are pretty disgusting to the downside, the travel names. I mean, clearly, the tensions right now and the war is certainly not helping any of these. As a matter of fact, UAL mentioned that in their call as being an obvious sort of headwind that they have to deal with. So not a good look for them. Don't see a trade unless it goes down 10%.
Yeah, we just had Fed's beige book come through there. Not too much talk. Decrease. Labor market remains easing across the nation. Labor market tightness continued to ease across the nation. So, maybe that's, the thing is like, is good news going to be good news or bad news going to be good news? So we still continue to deal with some of that. We have a nice little pullback right now in the market. This is Meta, sorry, I'm not even in Meta. Oh yeah, I'm in Meta. I'm in Meta right here. My most recent position that we just got out of was Google. This is what I was trying to talk about because we were going long off 140. We've been battling recently this name because it's been stronger than the market, but now everything's giving it up a little bit, trying to go back down. This is what the day looks like for the NASDAQ. In the middle, comes out, hits VWAP, back in, and then right there, we just had beige book. We are just at the IB low. Beige book comes out. So watch out to see where this can go from here. We could retest lower lows right now. I'm short Apple, I'm short Intel and Meta. And Neil just talked about some of those airlines. They continue to be hit to the downside, right? There's AAL, 1140 now, like pretty beat up right here for AAL. Just cruising. See, like, stupid. But anyways, just bouncing off of there. That's a little bit better. 1132 right here. So again, watch out for a break. 10 more cents and maybe the floodgates open back down to 11. But this daily chart is just...
I'd say the floodgates are open already.
Some of these stocks are just getting so beat up, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. Right.
Just seeing if they mentioned anything on oil there. There's actually, the bigger move was actually in energy. Went from 87.75 back to 87, but I don't see anything. Just moderate increases across the board, guys. Let's go to some of these chip stocks. NVIDIA was on everyone's mind. There was a couple of actually analyst notes to start things off this morning on NVIDIA specifically. Morgan Stanley was one of those, maintaining overweight, but they did cut their price target on this. I mean, across the board, we were discussing ASML as well this morning with earnings, but across the board, on watch coming off what happened yesterday, obviously, and expectations of maybe some more pressure on this Chinese note.
Yeah, more restrictions coming out from the Biden administration with respect to the H800 and the A800 chips. Those were designed specifically for China, and they're going to be subject to the new restrictions there. So that's going to definitely hurt some of their margins, Brendo, as they continue to try to work around these new rules.
Yeah, Citigroup, the other analyst, with the same kind of a note this morning, maintaining their current rating but cutting their price target. There was that note with Foxconn as well. They're going to team up to do some AI factory type stuff with NVIDIA.
Yeah, just keep saying AI. That's all you got to do. We'll get to no trades on NVIDIA today. Really only traded Intel and AMD, so that's what I'm going to go to. We will talk about NVIDIA because it's still catching those bids down in the low 420s. But if you remember this morning, we were sort of talking about that 36 on Intel. Did one thing right in terms of getting in at 36 and waiting for it to get up to that price. When I trailed out, some of it had to do with AMD. Most of it had to do with me trailing out like I usually do. You can see it rolled over. I went over and saw, like you have a key level at 36. This was breaking back up, and I went over and saw AMD at the same time was at its resistance point. I'm like, ooh, this is obviously a big lower high. At the time, Intel had been a little bit stronger than AMD, so I went over to the lower high and shorted off here, this 103.60 into 75s. I'm sitting in that. You can say it is what it is. Like, it could have, if I had not done that and stayed in Intel, it probably isn't much of a difference. But I did do it, so here I am, out of Intel and into AMD. At this point, it looks like a distinction without a difference. This is beneath VWAP, holding this 103 line back and forth like a bit of a heartbeat, but as long as it hangs out down here, if the market rolls lower, I like it. NVIDIA, I think this might be a no-fly zone. NVIDIA is not really, this is not what I like out of NVIDIA. I was saying I liked it if it could have gotten back above 425, maybe started trending up. It feels as if you want this falling apart or breaking out and ripping faces off, and when it's doing something else, NVIDIA is not the right beast for me. So I know it's a nice little trend downside if you've been holding it and shorting every pop, but I just feel as if at least the last week or so, AMD and Intel typically just give you better entry points for the day trade here. So NVIDIA underneath and rejecting that bottom from yesterday, but there has been some whipsaw action above and below that price. It's hard to imagine this market getting back or close to green if NVIDIA doesn't take VWAP. Yesterday, this thing ran off the bottom like everything else. Today, a few names have gotten over VWAP. This ain't one of them.
No, the semis continue to, lead us to the downside. We await earnings. NVIDIA disappointed us. Again, great quarter last time, down 25% from that number. Now hanging around, we'll see, 425. You're already through, down 3.5% right now. It's not been good. The only trade that I've had has been Intel today. It's very similar to what Neil was talking about. We were short early. We're still short it. We did get stopped out, but we didn't get stopped out of everything because we were looking at 36. And then for some reason, again, around 11 o'clock, you take a little bit of breaks. You guys know we're on the air until 11. Should have reshorted everything right there. Easy to say, didn't put it on. Nice downside pressure there. Intel's still weaker than the market. I like that. And then I know Neil's already in AMD, but I was looking for higher. And it's too bad because we had 106 written down on the sticky note. We had 107 the day before. This Biden restriction heading into China is not great. We already know about China's stimulus possibly coming back in. So we'll have to wait to see. I don't know. The market's rallied on that China stimulus news. And since then, Alibaba's what? Still $83 now today, almost down another 1%. Oh, man, we were short earlier on that name as well. But look at Alibaba. Had a nice bounce up there last week when we were reporting about China putting some stimulus into the economy. And then all of a sudden, a couple nice down days, and you're right back into where possibly it could be in a good investable long for sure, going back to June. But come on, these names continue to be weaker and weaker. So the market, I still feel like, has a little bit of a downward push coming through, and it's going to start with earnings, and it might start tonight with Tesla and Netflix.
Yeah. I was just noting this, Faraday, FFIE with a huge pop here on heavy volume. Not seeing anything right now yet, but nice look up to 165. It's 12 cents, but up pretty big anyways today for FFIE. Not the case for Morgan Stanley coming off their report this morning. They did get back above 75 here this afternoon, but pretty ugly. Dragging down the rest of the banking group today, too.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good look. They beat on both the top and bottom lines, but they had some issues. Wealth management was very underwhelming. Investment banking was not good either. Where they did seem to make a lot of money, though, was their bond traders. Made about $1.95 billion on the quarter. The equity traders even outperformed them with a $2.51 billion in revenue. So good look from their trading desk, Brendo.
Yeah, just noting oil back upside here once again. About 15 minutes ago here, guys. Some of these just popping up on decent volume. XOM to the upside again.
Yeah, strong move for some of those oil names. Not a great day for Morgan Stanley. They got quad-doomed like they messed up on the crop report for orange juice futures. And
can't believe they messed up.
You can't, well, Beeks doesn't show up.
Check the weather, man.
Where's Beeks? If you don't know where Beeks is, your traders are absolutely screwed and you're just going to get rugged all day. I wish I could tell you this thing got to $72 because that was the Alamo. Hey, it is what it is. Sometimes you can be patient with it. Like that's 72. Obviously the bounce, I zoomed out too far. So obviously the bounce comes off the 74 level, so the higher low is kind of what held up today. But you're trying to catch a falling knife. A lot of times you're waiting for something to be perfect, and if you wait for it to be perfect, sometimes you don't get it. So anyways, I didn't trade Morgan Stanley. As a matter of fact, this 75 is an interesting rollover zone. Did trade a couple of names, JP, one of them. That was JP, early stop out, then reshorted it a couple of times. The third time that I reloaded was on a tight stop. That was 1 o'clock. So at 1 o'clock when we had that 20-year auction, was not willing to hold on to the reload. They came right in and blew out. So I'm not trading this one anymore unless we get a real test or break out 147.5 or something like that. But JP, you just had to be patient with it. BAC off 28 as well. I'm going to bite because you just said, Robert just said in the chat, CGC is dumping. And the first thought I had was, that's not really dumping. Never mind. I just know CGC has this flat bottom break, which might be breaking at 60 cents. Okay, so good look there. CGC down 10%. I'm changing subjects, but didn't realize they were that far down. This is a flat bottom break. underneath this 60 level on CGC. That could get nasty, but it's already SSR.
I didn't realize that either. I mean, I don't know if there's any reports coming through. Thinking about these marijuana cannabis names, you're playing headline risk. That's all, every single time. So, okay, we're in Google One. Okay, we're about to break. Oh man, shouldn't have even brought it up. We're in Google just for a few more pennies, breaking through 60. That was that little low that we just put in. And again, we just been buying 70s. We're long at 78 right now. So, kind of sucks. This has been working for us in the afternoon. You know, there has been, okay, what happened there? Intel, our Meta came out a little bit. But here goes Google coming back down in now. So it looks like we're going to break some of these lows right now off that beige book reading coming through right there at 2 p.m. So looks like the market does want to give some back below the 50 period. We just touched VWAP right there and came right back in. So we're a couple pennies away from getting, unfortunately, stopped out of this Google trade. We still have a small piece of Apple, but it's this one we have more shares on. So there it is. Unfortunately, we're still holding on to a piece, but that sucked. Moved to the downside. Too bad. Right
I literally just got trailed out of Apple.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Meta as well. I'm getting trailed out of temporarily right now, but yeah, we did. Look, if you're only going to have one good trade today, make it one of these because we have the top. I'm still sucks that Google fell through there. I thought we were going to try to protect that bottom, but BAC right there, $28. I mean, that came in. That was a good time too. Good time of day trade around 10 o'clock. Gave us some levels, shorted it back in, and high of the day, low of the day. So I mean, for me on that one, that's worth dropping down some cash. It's my number one stock right there today. Google now my worst stock on the day after that last trade. But there it is right there. BAC boom to the downside. That was a good one. Top to bottom. The outs were pretty easy this time, man. Right back into the pre-market level. So we'll ring the register on that every time. And then it came back in and we took it one more time out. So that's it. No more shares. Again, look at this VWAP. Jeez, man. A lot of trades out there, guys. A lot of trades.
Including Rivian. Wow. Straight to the downside today for RIVN. 9.2%. Just made a day low there, coming into 18. I mean, there was a couple of minor things really this morning. CEO RJ comes out after the close yesterday and was making some comments on their recent debt raise and how it was not going to be a big deal. And then the costing. I mentioned they were talking yesterday about a 1,000 horsepower version of both the R1T and the R1S. Sign me up for one of those.
Yeah, taking a page out of Lucid's book there with the excessive horsepower. Yeah, interesting look. Like they raised $1.3 billion in March, and at that time they said they had enough money to carry them through to 2025. That's why investors and suppliers were really bewildered when they raised another $1.5 billion a few weeks ago or whatever in new bonds. But he came out, I guess, this morning and said that, or yesterday, and said that it was to scale up for the R2, which is going to be their smaller, more mass-produced platform. We'll see how they do.
I was reading with Randy. I mentioned to you this morning. I was reading with Randy yesterday that R1S, the SUV, is 7,000 pounds. Imagine a 7,000-pound SUV with 1,000 horsepower in snow.
Imagine getting into an accident with one of those, like you mentioned.
You just like go right through a wall.
Yeah, let's not visualize that. But I mean,
Market's going through walls right
yeah, the market's going right through a brick wall to the downside. So
maybe not.
in order to look at the Rivian chart, I'm not even going to bother with the 3-minute because you need to see the 15-minute, and then you can just see where this was at the beginning of October. Anyways, out too early is always the name of the game. The entire plan for a lot of this week has been, well, if you have something which is giving you the range, like play the range. Rivian gets to 20. If it turns, it gets to 19 and then has been turning just underneath 19. So that was the plan of action, shorted the breakdown, added to it under 1950, and then when it wicked these bottoms, that was the bottom of the week. I'm like, okay, this is that point where every single time we've had extreme moves down, you get the whipsaw turnaround, and then it's like a V shape all the way, so don't hold on to it. And then, of course, that was probably a reload, and now you're at $18. So yes, it was good. The gates of hell for getting out too early. Hurricane Ditka, why do you use the 3-minute? I used to use 1-minute charts. So I have, this is my 3-minute. That's what I usually show you guys for executions and whatnot. And then I have a daily here, and then I have the 15-minute. I just prefer a 3-to-1 to the 1-minute. I find that the 3-minute, you're less likely to get sort of jiggle in and out of it when you're looking at the levels. And I like the 15 to find the key levels. I just find that's better. I want to look at a couple of weeks worth of action for that. But Rivian, it will be 10% if it breaks 18. I don't think it's gone SSR, but it will be if it breaks 18. 18 hasn't meant anything the last couple of weeks. 1780 is a local bottom. 1750 is a local bottom. Absolutely nasty. And just because I can't think of another way to segue to Faraday Future, I'm just going to segue to that one right now. Up 20% on what has been a fantastic day for them. But they were, let me just show you guys on the, here we go, on the daily. Like, this is a reverse split, bounce off dollar special. Like, it reverse split, consolidation, there is your breakout, and now it's going second day. So if it were to fill in the gap, it would get to 350. I chuckle, but I mean, sometimes this craziness happens. It just did another volume spike here, breaking the $1.50.
That's a crazy one, eh?
Like, if it holds on to the previous high, like, that's nuts. But this is just, it's another on the long line and reverse split, low float, then it just starts squeezing to the upside. So as long as this keeps working, I mean, these types of setups have been good longs for a few months now. Just, take profit where you can, like, it's down here for a reason, all that good stuff that we usually say.
Rivian. Yeah, we didn't trade any Rivian today. It did get going early. Neil had that short. So, right now we're just going to stick with, we've been trading Meta a lot today. There's no doubt about that. We have 60 fills in Meta, including where we got stopped out in the first 5 minutes. And it's like, I keep saying that, I'm not going to do it, but I do it. Then we went long and had a great long and, made that money back. And then since then, we didn't make it all back, and we made some more back right now. But our last trade that we had on right here, took a long, got stopped out pretty quick at that 320.50. Took another long right at this bottom, which was great, 319.60. That's when you guys saw me in this trade, and we were really happy, but it did bounce off this 321, which was resistance right there. So it came back in, we reloaded it at that 319.50, lost it at 319.25, but then just saw another little bit of an area. And again, it's just, I'm trying to play the ranges of this market. We've already been down here. We've basically been, if you take away that, you can't take away the beige book, it happened, but there's the move down on it. But you just kind of fell into support that we've been at twice now already. So I tried to catch that Google long, that was a fail. So we're going to try Meta one more time here. It's working, we're flat on the trade. And the reason why I call it up is because it came back into this 318.25-ish area right there. So I was going to give it to that bottom. If this is going to be a bad day, it's going to be a bad day, right? So it seems like it may be a bad day. Down 1% and still going a little bit lower here. So that's the target. We'll get a little bit closer to 318, and we'll get a little bit longer at those levels. But for right now, pretty happy just sitting this one out, seeing what the market wants to do. We've got an Apple short, we've got an Intel short, and a Meta long.
With coffee? How many?
3, 4?
Yeah, same. What are you gonna do? Let's talk Procter & Gamble here. Was the last one on the earnings board this morning. Actually, a pretty good report. Actually, decent right now. Actually, back to 150 here for P&G on a beat.
Yeah, they beat on the top and bottom line, Brendo. It was a good look for them. However, there are a little bit of, there's some headwinds here. Let's talk about it. For the last 2 years, they've been raising prices on things like Tide and their Charmin toilet paper. And finally, the consumer has decided they have had enough. And a lot are switching to different discount brands. That's hurt their volume of sales a little bit, even though they've been able to maintain margins. I
have big news. Trade Ideas Test Drive is back on. You get 2 weeks for $11. So go right now and do that. Trader TV 20 as well, as always. The rundown brought to you by our friends over at Trade Ideas. 2 weeks, guys, for $11.
Man, you can't get a sandwich
Sign me up.
You can't get a sandwich for $11.
I want 5 accounts.
What?
One for each one of my family members. Let's go.
I can't eat for that. Like, that's what's crazy
ridiculous.
to me.
That's like half of a Happy Meal.
All prices, as far as I'm concerned, are like reference to like treats. It's like, okay, well, how much can I eat or drink relative to the value I'm getting out of something?
Here we go.
What are the odds? There he is. What's up, Randy?
What's up, Randy? Oh, I was going to say, was that for you or for me, man? Thanks.
Were you about to drink his
Appreciate
coffee?
that. Yo, Randy, by the way, you turn these guys around. The market's been tanking. Holy
Now, are they staying a bear?
Neil, man, me and you got to watch out for our seats over here. Randy's going to take these quickly.
You bring me an apple fritter. You can sit
Randy.
here if you want.
Stock
And
prognosticator.
No, I'm joking. I've already
He's
eaten
gonna
like
go
6
get an
candies.
apple fritter for
No,
you.
I'm joking because I've eaten like 6 or 7
There's more candies.
of the.
And
like,
then I found on
there's 2 buckets of candy.
I made the mistake of telling you, I went and got a coffee on the other side, the dog side.
Yeah.
And there is another bucket of different chocolates, including Smarties.
Oh
and
my goodness.
Kit Kat and Coffee Crisp.
So on the trading floor side, there's Snickers, Mars. We showed you guys Twix, and then M&Ms. On the other side, there's more. So. You know I've had way too much
If anybody
candy.
works
It's a
for
lot of sugar.
Hershey's, like I mean,
Forget Procter and Gamble. We should be talking
we're
about
down for
treats.
sponsorships and stuff.
Like I will eat on camera.
what I'm saying?
For just about anything anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like you might as well roll
Right.
With that.
Tim
We're supposed
Hortons
to be
could
saying
easily sponsor
Procter.
us. That's crazy.
Procter is good. The only problem is it's not a trading stop, but I'm happy about this one because like a couple weeks ago, well, it was like last week, mentioned I'm not very active in my personal account, but Procter was a recent buy off of this 142 low. I love 142, but it has nothing to do with my favorite number. It was just getting into a nice little double bottom. I like the value with them. I know they're running into some constraints right now in terms of passing along prices, but this is the kind of name where I like buying it on dips. It's had a great run. It's above the 200 period. Next stop, 151 resistance there. Messy daily chart, but you can see that resistance, and then the 50 period. So likely to slow down a little bit here on Procter. I don't think there's much of a trade. This market is now continuing the quadunk, but I'm just looking over. So that's AMD. ES, not at the low. And Q still hasn't broken this 1505. Maybe this is the day we get outside of the range, but we're now getting to the 102 on AMD. This is where it bounced heavily yesterday. So it was a huge wick bottom that touched 101.50, but really based out well above the 102. If it hangs on to this level, I could see it turning. I got to be thinking trail down at this point. It's absolute nonsense. That FFIE slowing down, if there's a chance at a dip buy in Faraday, it feels like that move into the previous high, that could be maybe right now. As I said, this is sort of gimmicky in terms of what it's doing. I don't have a fundamental read on this company. It's just reverse split, low float starting to go. Play the stair step to the upside. I don't like taking high the day breaks. I never want to buy a top on one of these. I hate that as an entry late in the day. If you get one early, like if you go this break on the high long, that's reasonable. Like that 135 down here at about 1040 when we're basically only looking at big caps for obvious reasons. But that's a good breakout that you can take because the risk to reward is like 10 cents, maybe 15. But up here, I don't think you can be, like where you're wrong on this break is, to me, like well underneath 160. It might even be VWAP down there, and it's hard to want that late in the day when you're day trading. Swing trading, you can give up 15%, 20%. Day trading, you don't want to do that.
Okay, we're really starting to print. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Neil and I will be flat at 4 o'clock. So whatever trades we're putting on now is for the purpose of getting out from now until 4 o'clock, or any major economic numbers, things like that come out at 3:50. We do have the imbalances that are coming out. Thank you for all the nice comments in the chat. I just put that in there. Okay, so there's the trade right there, 318, 319 off Meta. Nicely done to the upside. We just cooked some of that out there. Our best outs was 51s, so right here, right now, is our best out. It did go all the way up to 76. I was at 85. That's where the 50-period moving average roughly is. It's come back in a little bit. I guess it's at 81, 82 right now. But here we go, trying to get this back into the dollar club, going Meta right now. Good trade off that bottom. I'm sure glad that we switched over into Meta rather than Google. Google having a hard time going upside right now, and I did want, the whole purpose of me coming over here was actually to show you that although we're in Apple right now from this very, very top, it's just the same 10% that we had when we left you guys at 11 o'clock right here, and it's basically at the same prices. I saw, what's up to Dan Emmons, saw him there in the chat saying that the levels are the same now that they were 4 hours ago.
What the?
That might be right. AMD, okay, Neil's fine. And I just want to say that I'm here to get out. I'm going to put a stop in right now. If we break the 200, that's 85. So our stops are pretty easy. 176.86 out of 100%. I put that order in. Hands off right now as we wait to see Apple continue to move higher. And if it does, that's fine. You can see, though, it's a little stronger than the market, right? We're looking for names like that. That's why we're in, well, Meta's actually a little bit weaker. I thought Meta was stronger than the market. Okay, so Meta pulled back a little more right there than the market. So we'll have to watch out for that. Intel's almost back to $36, which I think could be a...
I like the 36 level. Like I'm waiting for that level, but I just got trailed out of AMD here. I guess we're done the rundown, but you'll see no positions on because I got trailed out of it. Oh, never mind. As I say that, Faraday futures came in, but AMD did trail out for me. Just bounced off that low, so double bottom. I'm getting out. If anything, I could see reasons why people might enter the long there. But as you mentioned, Intel it's back above VWAP. It could be headed back toward that 36 level. We like the 36 there. Just want to wait for it. Faraday. Let me just go over to that because that just came in. It's starting to dip down into the previous high. So taking the first curl we get, it just bounced off 63. Grab 64.5, it'll round up to 65, doesn't really matter. But wow-wee-wah, it looks like we're setting up for it seems like it's just gonna be range bound again, right? And if that's the case, we just bounced off the lows on the NASDAQ, we bounced shy of the lows on the ES. If it's gonna be range bound, you want things that are moving. One that has a chance to and is still making lows is Netflix. It just keeps on flushing. It could not hold that 350. Like, all I wanted to see was strength above 350. Was that asking too much? No. Never set up the trade, so never went into the long. Instead, it's just flushing going into earnings. They told everybody it was going to be bad, and it's still continuing to get sold off. So, yeah, if the market does really turn, I got to figure there's maybe a chance at a bottom here, like in the 340 low range maybe, but it's getting pretty nasty for them down 2.5% and not much in sight toward the bottom. Ganesh, I haven't traded SASI, but that ICU has been on the radar. I was in it once.
SASI?
SASI?
Oh, I've never.
Oh, you know what? The first day we traded, I think, was on Friday when you weren't here.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
So it's SASI. I have no idea what the company's name is, but I see it and I just want to say SASI.
So sad.
And then Sharif says it too. So this is me on ICU. I grabbed a VWAP long, I gave it to 66 and not 65, which probably was a bad decision because then it would have had some small move, but that's not a good win. Like, if I'm taking this trade, I want here. Like, I need it going 5 to 10 cents, not 4, because that's barely 1-to-1. So it was never really that good for me on ICU. My attention's now on Faraday, as that's had a lot of strength as well.
So, okay, so we got stopped out of our Apple, and that's completely fine. So we'll just wait for a second. There it is. Ayo. Right now, yeah, so we got stopped out. Of course, now it comes right back in. That's fine. There's our stop out on Apple. It's $1. It's $1. All right, so you know what happens when it's $1. We'll get another one. Fabian, maybe we need another one, different beat. We can get a different beat because I like the graphic right there. But the club is now on and open for Apple. And then we were able to also take, was it? I'm not going to hit it again if it was $1, but it doesn't matter. 318.90. 319.90, yeah, so that was about 90 cents right there on the top again. But I was, again, waiting. Because we got out on the Apple 200-period break, I was sort of thinking that maybe we'd be able to get the 200-period break right here as well. But the thing is, the market just went right back to its IB low again and bounced back down. But I was sort of hoping for a retracement back up to VWAP. I'm still looking for some big news to hit this market. I don't really see too much happening. CL... this backslash? Yes, there it is. All right, we want the March. Where's the December contract? February, March. Oh, no, I don't see December. Oh, no. Will January be printing? No. Okay, is it Z? I think it might be
Z. Okay,
yeah. Hold on a second. Now everything
Well, that's what I have anyways.
Oh, you have it? Okay, hold on a second. Z23. Okay. Let's see. All right, there we go. So 80. Wow. Okay, so 87. So, yeah, nice move up today. 2.5% for the oil contract. They can't verify if that exactly is the right percentage up. What is USO up again? Because I don't know if we chart it properly throughout the night. 2.49%, 1.8%. Okay, so USO, there's the nice little move up in oil happening right now into USO. You know what I was going to think about trading recently, though, is this SOX L. Why not, like, instead of me always looking at, Neil and I, oh, you're out of AMD, but we always are looking at AMD for sure. And then we look at NVIDIA, and then we pretty much always have Intel on our mind. And then the next one, Micron, I've been trading off that $70 level for a little while as well. And then just because of all of that, I'm thinking, okay, instead of picking and choosing, obviously you want to pick ones that have stories on specific days, so we'll continue to look for that. But if you're really going to like try to fade certain levels or certain moves in the market, maybe looking at something that is 2 to 3. These are 3x, right? So the SOXL is down 4.5%. That's the long today. The SMH is the actual index. So you'll see that should only be down like 1.8 right there. I was gonna say 1.4, 1.8 right there. So 3 times is the SOXL. All right, so I was thinking about starting to look at a little bit of these levels coming into play. So look out for some more SOXL trading over here as I'm going to try to, you know, as Neil says, wet my beak into some of this SOXL nonsense. And I promise I'll try to stop. Oh, ad blocker came up. What was I trying to look at right there?
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun.
Oh,
What is
ad
that?
blocker.
I'm going to try to refresh that.
There was a couple of things people are asking about bounces and SSR bounces. I'm going to get to plug in a second, but Rivian's not down 10% and it's at 18. I'd actually like it to tick 10% down before looking for a long on this stock. $18 has nothing on it. It actually broke once and got to 99, so there's no size or anything that's giving you support on that bid. It's just a round number at this point. Plug might not have volume behind this on the bounce, but it did tick, I think, exactly to 10% down. Little bounce, but couldn't get back above the $7 level. Like, I'm looking for some sign of buy-side strength. Like, the whole idea behind that is, like, where are shorts covering? It might have to take 7 again. I'm not really seeing a great entry. If it bounces a second time off that SSR level, then it might have a chance to build. As a matter of fact, it's right through. So I'm just not seeing a long entry at this point. I'm just in Faraday. If we see 36 on Intel, fair enough. I do like that level. I'm out of AMD. I thought maybe we'd get a bounce here. If we're going to be range bound, maybe we'd have a shot at VWAP or the 103 level. We can get rid of that line. It's not as significant. It was kind of from yesterday, so let's just get rid of that now. It doesn't matter. Like, I like this area at 103, but like the line at 103 doesn't really matter. Like, it's over under that price. And the money fills are over 103 if it does bounce back in to the upside. Randy saying it's free fall Tuesday. Not that Randy, not you, Randy. Randy Orisma in the chat. And, well, our Randy actually thought it was a free fall as well. So I should be getting back into shorts. And speaking of which, I did not point this one out. The old trail outs on, I mean, the good news about a firm is when I trailed out, I got back in on this consolidation and then trailed out again.
Ouch.
So I know, like, I got back in at like 19.15, trailed out. It was a 1% move. It was a double bottom down here. It's now breaking to the downside. This is the one that I don't like. And the weird thing about it is I did not, like, I added here and then was like, okay, well, I'll stop out if it doesn't hold VWAP with the intention of shorting the 2050 level again because it was looking like it was strong. It was holding a trend to the upside. Let me just show you this. Like, it was kind of holding this trend to the upside. So when it bounced, I'm like, I'll reload it. If it breaks that, it's holding trend. I shouldn't bother. The second I get out, it breaks the trend, and I should have gone in here. Here or here is, like, not there. I can re-enter the trade, like, down there, but I did not until much lower. A firm, as usual, it is a bit of a dumpster fire when it does roll to the downside. You got 1850. If that breaks, it's a tiny bit of a flat bottom break. So there's still a chance I could get back in on a short to pop situation. But it won't be, I don't think, at 1920. Let me just cancel that order. Much more likely to be grabbing it around 1880, 1875 on any kind of a bounce to the upside here. This market, we just hit the 1% again.
Wow.
We've been back and forth in the NASDAQ, down 1%, you know, kind of going back and forth here, not really breaking that low. Every time it ticks up is pretty much an opportunity to get a short in this market. It's just the way it's been. So the next time we bounce, got to look to enter some.
Yeah, that's been right this afternoon for sure. You're under the 50 period, you're under VWAP, some little key levels that we like to talk about as well. I'm just looking if anybody in the chat, someone brought us CGC, we called that up really quickly. If there's anything else, I want to check back in on BAC as that's still, you know, this set up perfectly, man. This 28, this is exactly. I have to start, you know, they say about, you know, keeping track of your trades and the time of day and all that kind of stuff. Maybe about time to get back to some journaling because, like, this is a good time and sure, you're cherry picking because I'm looking today, but this generally, I sit here long enough to know the time of days that I feel like I do better at, and I feel like it's, in between 950 to 1010-ish, in that area before major economic numbers coming out, 950, you can sort of see some levels. Then you can maybe get out, like you take a trade for 5-10 minutes into 10 o'clock. Then if there are numbers at 10, then you wait for those to settle down and then maybe get back in. That's not what happened today in BAC, but it's the settling down of the market and seeing that first half-hour range. I feel like that's helped a lot over the last little while. So something to keep in mind as we go forward. And we're kind of doing the same thing right now, not with BAC, you could see. But so we got out. We have we still have too much. We still have about 40% or so of this trade, maybe a little bit under that, maybe 35% of this trade left. It's good that we got out of a decent spot up there for $1. But other than that, we kept on getting out at the past, just like Neil said, like when things bump up, maybe you got to look at sort of past levels. So getting some out there at 319.60 was pretty good. And right now you're bouncing again. I'm waiting down here at 50 one more time to get the reload into the bottom of meta for the day, into this 318. If it wants to take that out, it can take that out, and we will be gone. I just got to make sure where my stop is. Yeah, breaking through 318 is my stop. So maybe we'll maybe we'll put something a little bit lower than the 50 area, because that bottom's 30. So we really need to see a clean break. So we're not going to average into many shares because our stop on this is $1 lower than right here. So we can't start loading up right now on any of these positions. I'm also going to try Google one more time off 138. And the reason why, we're just now forcing the bottom of the range. So if it holds, we're going to have a kick butt return back up to the upside.
Why don't you just say kick ass?
If that goes, that's a pretty good movie.
What did you think about the second one?
I don't know if I saw it. I knew that.
You never saw the one with Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey's in
Jim
the second
Carrey's
one?
in the second kick-ass movie.
No, then I must have. Bro, how old do you think that is?
Oh, I don't even want to think about that. That's a decade old.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because
okay,
the
I'll have to
dude,
look that one up.
The dude that plays him.
I was going to look at Tesla in a second.
He's old. Like he's a lot older now. He's in a bunch of stuff, but why can't I remember his name? Yeah, Jim Carrey is freaking amazing. I'm a big fan of In Living Color. There was a couple of questions here. First, I just want to do some, I was in the middle of, whatever. Rivian broke that 18, and it's getting close to SSR. So when it hits 10%, I would look for a potential SSR bounce on that. The other was a question about McDonald's. All these beaten up like food names, there's a better word for this, like Coke, McDonald's.
Pepsi, I think.
Pepsi, they're all catching a bid, man.
Is McDonald's? I'm still
McDonald's is catching a bid.
Is it?
And
no,
sometimes
it was so high though before.
Okay, but sometimes you got to look at the weekly. So that's the daily chart. It's up 2% today. Okay, I zoomed way too far out in the weekly. We don't need 2011. Okay, there we go. So since the pandemic bottom, obviously that's going to stand out. It has not really sniffed the 200 period on the weekly. There's been one dip by. The first time it dipped after reclaiming it, there was one little almost tag, and then it's going shy of that. Look at the turn at that 250. As you would expect, it's not getting to the 200 period moving average. For a quality name, you got to like what you see there. Could it get all the way back to the 50 period? That's almost 10% from that bottom. Doesn't seem crazy to me. So good start for McDonald's. And obviously, if you didn't catch a 250 bottom, when I look at stocks that I like, that I own in my long term, that I want to pick back up, this is exactly the kind of, I don't own McDonald's, but like if I saw this in Procter, that's when I want to buy it. When I see this in Caterpillar, that's when I want to start buying into it when it makes that kind of a move. Because I'm looking to buy on that value because you're holding it forever. But good day for them. I'm still only in future. Faraday. Why do I always want to call it future Faraday? Faraday future. Yeah. I'm still only in that. Looking for a pop to be able to short, and the market's like, we're not going up, we're just going down. Like nothing seems to, maybe there's like a flat bottom break somewhere, because if we're not going to short the pops, then you just got to follow the trend to the downside. Apple hasn't really fallen apart yet. Like it's very slowly gliding. Like I got out of that. I think it was the right call to get out, and it's kind of sliding to the downside. Not a great entry at that point. M. Allen. You guys should get Kat to make a deal with TraderView and TradeSync to track all previous trades. Seems like a win-win. You know what? It's not a horrible idea. Like have like one of those journaling, companies, and then we do like some kind of a thing with them, and then we'd be able to post it up. I like that. I mean, I really like that idea. Kat can hear us.
Yeah, just get them in touch with us.
Yeah, exactly.
You know where we're at. We're right here, homie.
Well, that's something we actually did
Come to
discuss
our
this.
backyard.
We did discuss this once before, and it makes a heck of a lot of sense. SASE is around $2. Is it going? Oh, SASE round 2. Oh, round 2. I'm like around $2. Did that fall
What was the
down?
float on that one? Because that's 45% already today.
Oh, it was wilder the other day. The float is 600,000 shares.
Yes. Okay. Wow.
600,000.
Somehow legal to have
And
that little float.
just a reminder to everybody, if you've never seen this setup, well, you're going to see it a few more times until they fix this issue. With low float names, reverse split, after already a small float, then you reverse split, it becomes tiny, and it makes a bottom, double bottom, breakout, actually higher low breakout again. So this was at $8. Yeah, it had to be Friday because that would make sense. Yeah, you weren't here Friday. Friday, this one was at like $8, and it came all the way back to 5. Now it's breaking back above, holds the 5 level. I suppose if it got going again, maybe it makes a run. I don't think it's getting all the way back up there. There's not enough volume on this. It feels as if it breaks the high, like if it breaks this consolidation, I'd be really happy with 640, 650. Like look at this, the symmetry in that rejection. And the last time I did that, lower high and then quadunk. Sometimes the patterns are they are. JB, homie the clown. That, if I
Don't
didn't,
mess around.
if I hadn't already purchased my Halloween costume, that's a good idea. But I've already.
Good thing about the homie to
I'm already
clown
locked
is
and
you
loaded.
can get the pillow. You can just start whacking people with the pillow.
You know I would be Sharif, if I had that costume, every time he brings up the Dallas Cowboys, I'm getting up out of my chair and I'm
that's
whacking
the
him
thing.
on the
You
head
can
with
switch
that thing.
spots. You can
Because homie don't play
really
that.
Really close to hitting Sharif.
I love that character,
Right
man.
over the head. The DXY is really starting to go back up, as we do not promote violence around here, by the way. That's
Oh, it's
not
like a
at all.
cushion, man. It's not violence. That's,
No, it's a pillow.
yeah.
Yeah. Check the Dixie here. The U.S. dollar continuing to push higher and higher right now, getting back to its high today, October 18th, right? Today? Yeah, sure. 106.62 coming back into play right now from the noon hour. So watch out for this. Would like a turnaround. We just went longer right now into that Google position for us. Oh, here, I should put it up on the screen. It's about flat. We just took a fill right here at 11s. So now we're dug into this one against 138. You know, this has been disappointing to me today. I thought Google was going to be relatively stronger. It's been a really, really good level, or has been at some good levels over the last couple days here for Google, and we've been able to buy some of these dips. But it looks like today, like I honestly thought that we would have a good chance of holding right into here, this 139, and then even when we were upside, looking at that 140, we did start the day short. So the fact that we flipped over into Google, it's not really too much of a surprise, as we just had a nice move back up. We'll take a little bit out here on Google. Did we get a 23 there or what? We just got an 18? We just got an 18. Okay, so here we go. Nice little upside mover right now in Google. Things are still working in my ear, or is it not? I keep hearing them. Oh, they're not mentioning anything to you. Okay.
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, good. But we are in, people asking about doubling down on Meta. That's surprising that we didn't get it, because I'm here at 50. It only went down as low as 66. The risk I'm taking right now, and it might not be a smart one, is in Google. So that's where I've sort of parked this long in, which kind of sucks because everything else seems to be going back up to the upside a little quicker than this. Oh, Tesla earnings, right?
I saw someone just asked about holding
okay.
through earnings on Tesla. When you enter a trade, you know when earnings are. Like you make a decision ahead of time what you're, like I bought Procter knowing earnings were coming in. I was never considering getting out if earnings were bad, because I'm holding that for, essentially forever, right? Like I'm not really thinking about getting out of that stock. So it's not a trade for me, but if you're trading around earnings, you should have a risk plan. Like you can have a stop, check out the implied volatility, and maybe that gives you a barometer as to what you can or cannot handle. You can find that a million sources online. And if it's too wide, then trimming when you're in the money makes a lot of sense. If you can stomach it and you wanted to hold for a bigger swing, you got to figure out your own risk reward. Everyone trades their own book. I don't swing trade into earnings on anything. Reliable Rudy just put in the chat that there's some volume coming into Alibaba. That's why I have this up. It's completely unrelated to Tesla. I just saw a small volume spike in here. You guys can't see that. Let me, now it shows up. There's this volume spike as it just broke down like 10, 15 cents. but immediately went back to doing absolutely nothing. So it's on the radar now, Reliable Rudy. Just I want to see some continuation on that. Oh, by the way, Faraday, I was able to get one tick up back into the previous high on the dip. It actually went down to 60s, but it's not really breaking these tops. So I'm going to do some scalping inside of the range, and if it breaks out the high, we're going to hold it. And now we are ready. Let's head on to the desk to Brendo with our guest in the afternoon.
Hey guys, yeah, we are excited this afternoon to have a brand new listing here in Toronto on the CBOE Canada Exchange. Verano is in the cannabis industry. We're going to learn all about it this afternoon. There he is, the CEO, George Archos, coming through. In a second, we're going to talk actually with Chief Investment Officer of Verano, Aaron Miles. But brand new listing on the CBOE Canada Exchange here in Toronto. We're happy to have them on. VRNO, if you're looking for the ticker, VRNOF as well, OTCQX if you're down in the US. Let's bring in Aaron Miles, the Chief Investment Officer of Verano Holdings. Congratulations, Aaron. It's an exciting time for not only you, but the company obviously as well. Tell us a little bit about the company overall. Give us an introduction here to Verano.
Yeah, Brendan. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Love to be able to join today, and especially on the heels of an event like this, right? Like, we're very appreciative of the partnership that we're going to be forming here with the CBOE. But before we get into that, Verano as a company, we've been around since 2014 and have kind of worked our way from growing our footprint to a 14 state, 13 active, 11 vertically integrated operator that went public in February of 21. And what we've really been able to do is fine tune the business to the point where I think we're really starting to get into a groove here as a company and as an industry. So overall in the U.S. cannabis space, we did $879 million in revenue in 2022. We did $234 million in Q2, 3% sequential growth, 5% year over year. And more importantly, we hit 31% adjusted EBITDA margins, which included a little bit of an inventory pullback impact, as well as the most important aspect is $16 million of free cash flow. So when you think about how we have to operate as a business, we really built the business for the here and the now. And why I say that is because, there's certain operators that are waiting for legislative moves, which obviously are going to benefit us as well. But we always built the business to be self-sustaining. And then we wanted to tap into the capital markets at the right time, which was February of 21. And then we wanted to upgrade our listing to the CBOE in Canada, which is really going to give us senior exchange status, ties into the US capital markets, eligibility for index inclusion. And really, it's the ability to continue to operate like a normal business. If we were to go down the path of other exchanges, we'd have to restructure and do some things. So really excited about this move. Feel like it's the appropriate step, really on the heels of the HHS announcement, which we feel is really positioning us well.
Yeah, it's an exciting time, and I want to talk about that very thing in the sense that all of the headlines in this industry have been around the banking portion of it, and we've had discussions on this show many, many times surrounding the importance of, when it comes to multi-state operators, as Verano is, the importance of getting that banking legislation finalized and in place to help support the industry as a whole. So give us a two-part kind of look here. What does it mean to get this done finally for the overall industry and for the company specifically?
First and foremost, as the government continues to talk about it, that's a positive, right? We're frustrated that we haven't been able to get this across the finish line, but you now have the highest level of government with the administration talking about rescheduling. So that's a massive positive. So the two-parter really is, I would say the way that we're going to be able to operate like a business if you get, rescheduling done to 3, we can bank at the federal level. You can use credit cards. We have massive amounts of state charter bank accounts because we've had to maneuver in the banking system. So just from a bandwidth issue and the ability to earn interest on, the $103 million of cash that we have sitting in our balance sheet is going to be game changing for us. But let's really talk about the game changing components, which is, the U.S. capital markets inclusion, right? We are, very appreciative of the Canadian markets, but, the firepower behind the U.S. capital markets is really where we feel that, the appropriate valuation will start to reach fundamental analysis of where we think we should be as a company. So having access to the capital markets means, institutional dollars coming in. It means us being able to, bank at the highest level or use a big four from an auditing firm. And so far, we've kind of played a game of kind of, a patchwork game of, continuing the business. But I think the two-part is operating like a normal business and then really being able to tap into the U.S. capital markets, which is going to really help us, continue to expand our footprint. Which the most important component of this is the basis of why this market even developed in the first place, which is the medicinal component in being able to reach more customers of need.
This is not your first go around. You played a crucial role in bringing Cresco Lab, another very well-known name in the industry, obviously, to the public markets, now Verano as well. Give us an idea of what that experience will mean to Verano going forward.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I did help Cresco. I also worked at the New York Stock Exchange, and I know what trajectory I want us to be on. And you learn a lot, right? I mean, I operated so long in the U.S. side of the world. I feel like I'm very well versed in the Canadian markets now. So this was not a knee-jerk reaction to just the HHS announcement. This is something that we were working on really since we went public. What was our next step going to look like? And we just wanted to wait for the right time to strike. And we feel that this is the appropriate time. So my experience, there, you learn a lot, and you want to be better than you were the day before, and that's how the mentality that I use. And so we're continuing to move forward from our capital markets plan. This is a very, very strong step for the business. But you can imagine one of the biggest components to this is really getting into the CBOE network. And I know they launched the U.S. corporate listings business, and we want that thumbs up approval and feel like we'll have a much faster pathway into those markets if and when that happens. But it's up to us as a company to continue to make sure that we're staying right a step ahead of that. So.
13 states, as we said, multi-state operator, vertically integrated in 11 of those. I mean, what is the competitive edge here when it comes to VRNO being in that much geography versus the rest of the industry?
Yeah, so 16 million of free cash flow, 65 to 75 million of free cash flow guidance is not by accident, right? Like the way that we built the business from inception is what stands out. If you go through all of our investor presentations, it's going to show the same footprint map with the same number, the dispensaries and characterizing the businesses, and it's going to feel very similar. But the way that we built the business was different. We were efficient from day one. We leveraged free cash flow to build out our footprint. We avoided sale leasebacks. We were very conservative in the way that we tapped into the debt markets as well as the equity markets. And so everything we do is very calculated, strategic, but it can be swift as well. We can move fast. We executed on 15 acquisitions, following our go public in 2021, which got us to the point that we're at right now. But I would put our operations, our product, our retail experience up against anybody. And again, you put out a good product and customers will come back, and that's really starting to resonate in our performance.
Yeah, top 3 market cap company as we stand here today. You mentioned it briefly. Let's talk about the senior exchange side of things, and from an investment standpoint here, 97% of the trading that's done in the stock is from the retail side of things. What does CBOE bring to the table when you consider that number alone?
Sure, better exposure, right? So when you think about eligibility for index inclusion, right then and there, you're going to have syncage to some of the largest funds in the world because they're going to be invested in MSCI and FTSE, to name a few. So I think that in and of itself is a very strong component to this, as well as better visibility and marketing capabilities. So the institutional relationships are going to continue to happen, and we're going to be in a place to really audition, because we know we're auditioning for new money. Being 97% retail traded, it's tricky, right? Not everybody takes the time and the effort that a big institution is going to be to see who they want to invest in. So not the fundamentals of our business aren't always going to ring true to every investor. So this is going to give us broader exposure. It's also the technology platform that a CBOE brings. I think everyone looks at the NYSE and the NASDAQ, and rightfully so. I worked at the mecca of capital markets, but when you actually look at the market share from a U.S. equities perspective, NYSE, NASDAQ, NYSE's at 17 to 18%, NASDAQ's around 16, and CBOE is really floating in that 14 to 15%. Now it's more ETF trading than corporate listings at this point, and it's equities and futures and options. But in reality, they're really beefing up their corporate listings business. So I think people really underestimate how big CBOE is. So to have that network and to have a company that is in 26 markets that has such a broad reach, it really gives us the ability to go out and market stronger. And I can tell you, we want that to flip upside down where it's 97% institution versus 3% retail. But, we'll get there. And, I just want to be really clear here that we and this is not anything that you were assuming here, but we don't run the business based off dislocations in the market. We make sure that we're always going to be self-sustaining and for the here and the now. But I can tell you, anytime there's an opportunity to make a move like this, we'll do it.
As we look ahead here, so many of the headlines recently, when it comes to this industry specifically, have been around regulations, have been around the banking side of things. Is there a trend, or is there, maybe a product direction that the industry overall is heading that you see more growth potential in here as we look ahead?
I think early on, when this industry really got off and running, flour is always going to be the number one choice of consumption. It still remains true to this day, but what we've done is we've launched 14 brands over the last year, and a heavy component of that is on the edible side, right? And so if you look at our bits line, we're weaving in adaptogens because you're starting to see people get more holistic in their approach to their healthcare. So you think about reishi mushrooms or guava coffee and some other components that we can add in to complement, right, the high quality flour that we're growing. Vape pens, and that line is also growing, but we haven't even tapped into beverages, right? And so there's a whole world when you actually think about how this can evolve to where we can really beef up our product portfolio. Flour, again, still number one, but I think really at the end of the day, there is opportunity for more product growth. Especially, if you think about it, if you start to get on the shelves of, the grocery stores or convenience stores, and, you have people who can shop a little bit differently, I think that would kind of change the way that we would approach our product portfolio as well.
Exciting time. As we mentioned, VRNO, brand new listing here in Toronto on CBOE Canada. Congratulations. Aaron Miles is Chief Investment Officer at VRNO. Thanks for this. We appreciate it.
Yeah, what a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
And a great job as always, Brendan. We absolutely love it when we have these guests that we can bring you. It's definitely a big day when we bring the guests on. That's what we're all about. We like to have that every single day for you guys. And thank you, Aaron, for coming on. Big day for VRNO too. The first day listing is always a big deal. It's self-serving for us to say don't sleep on the Canadian markets because obviously we're here in Canada, but it's also just true. The focus, and we're a trading show, so obviously we're going to focus a lot of times on the Magnificent Seven and all that stuff, but don't sleep on those markets. Speaking of which, that's my segue to I reloaded Apple, and I just, as quickly as you get in, here, just pull the chart up here because this is frustrating. I should have been shorting pops. I did not short the pop in Apple. I saw the same triple bottom. Can we come to my chart for a second? Are we good? Yeah, there's this bottom. Longed it one time, did not get out when it took 77s. Same bounce, let's take it again. Let's get it into VWAP. Instead, it breaks the downside, so I did not reload the short there. Is what it is. The other thing that I am in right now, so one fail-ish, and then Faraday bounced to the upside. It broke that 07. There was some, what's the word I want to use here? Some shenanigans at the $1.70 level. Like there was size on the bid, spoofing on the offer. So a lot of times I'm getting some out in that mess because a lot of times it is fugazi and then you're coming back in. So decent bounce to the upside. It's already gone like mid 160s into mid 170s. I have an offer when it was at 175, just in case it did a big spike up. I wanted to grab some 180s. I'm just going to leave that in there. But a nice little run. I want to ring the register on it because if I'm buying tops in a consolidation dip with less than an hour to go, I respect the fact that this is a reverse split that is going, you soaked up the float, you're squeezing. It's not going to go forever. Hopefully it could get to $2 today. That would be absolutely fantastic. 420 is now gone on NVIDIA. And if that's the case, am I seriously just waiting for the consolidation? Like I'm sitting here waiting in this consolidation, like wick high underneath the low on AMD. Top. Get the short off of 102, but I want the fills over 102. I'm trying to be patient about this, but this market sliding down again. We're 1 1/4 to the downside. And I can't remember the last time we were making fresh lows. Usually in this market, we've been bouncing off the range. You're making fresh lows, and we're in the final hour. If it was going to do it, I feel like it would have done it already, and it, meaning bounced off the bottom.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I'm in my very, very last chance right now on all of these, man. We just took Meta off of 318, so this should be a good level. We'll see if it wants to continue to work. We're long right here. We just took some out at 50, so that's going to turn out to be a good out for us as, yeah, things are starting to turn for us right now back down for Meta. And then right here, we're long at 93s, giving into that bottom of 85 here for Google. We just took some out at O's again as well. It's like, this is how you know you're wrong when you're scalping, and it's been fine. We've been getting out of the way. It's not going. So it's like when the best you can get is like 5 cents, and you're kind of like, ooh, thank God we got that 5 cents. It's like that means you're going the wrong way. Because if I just shorted every single one of these pops, we would have never been in trouble. Like every time I'm getting out, if those are shorts, then you're right back near the bottom right now, not near the top. So this market just continues to make moves to the downside. I think it's about time we finally respect that this is going lower. I mean, lower. I mean, we made a higher low right there, but then we just continued to push again to that downside. So, yeah, for me, I'm running out of patience, obviously, with these trades, which is why I'm starting to get out of them. You don't want to turn a day where we've sort of been trying to catch these bottoms into we held a bottom, because I don't want to hold this all the way down until we finally find the exact bottom. If we're lucky enough to pick it up, which I think we want to try right now, we're heading into power hour. We've got Tesla. I mean, my main problem
Netflix is running a bit.
Okay, I was going to say, what are these doing? Because Tesla has been getting beat up all day, man. Tesla's down 5% at its lows as well. So as the market's at the lows, natural to see Tesla at the lows as well. Breaking back below the 50 period today, not looking good into this earnings. We talked to Danielle Shea about this yesterday actually, and she's not super excited the way it's all setting up here into what should be an exciting report here today at 4:05.
This is sort of the thing.
Just got out of Meta, it just broke.
Eduardo Lindenmeyer in the chat just pointing out. Yeah, exactly. What up? I haven't seen you in the chat before. If it's not your first time, then my apologies for not noticing, but we love to see when we have new people commenting and being dead on about something. You're at major support on the NASDAQ, at least this week. Like we have bounced off this level well in front of 15,000, like 15 half. It's like 150 and then half, right? So you've been bouncing off this and getting right back to the top multiple times. You're now carrying through this, unfortunately, on the NASDAQ. And the last trade I made was a long, so is what it is. There's got to be a short to be popped on a pop, or even not even getting that. Like I should just be in the 102. Like I'm waiting for an extra 20 cents higher on AMD to join the trend. And unfortunately, Eduardo, you did speak yesterday. That's my bad. We get a lot of people in the chat, and that's completely on me. We interact with a lot of the viewers, and shout out to all of you. And whenever we don't remember a name, just put it squarely over here, right? Like that's my bad. I appreciate you getting this to us, because this is a perfect example of when support is holding and you're bouncing off of this, go for the longs. When it's breaking to the downside, favor looking for that breakdown. Now 15,000 wants to hold, fair enough. Netflix is bouncing, but it feels like it's alone in this bit of a bounce. Oh, pullback in Faraday, so that's like the only thing I'm in. I thought there was some games being played at this up in the 170s. Like it's pulling back in there. Let's see it catch another higher low. If it pulls in another higher low, maybe there's another like entry to buy the dip, and then it can continue to stair step to the upside. This should not care what the market does, because this is going up for, like nonsensical reasons at this point. Nickel's at $1 at the same time, Matt. I much prefer these things holding $1 in the middle, like in the morning. This time of day, I don't necessarily love the random dollar defense. If anything, late in the day, I like the break of $1. But Nikola doesn't have enough volume, and it's almost SSR. Okay, hold on a second. If Nikola goes SSR and then reclaims $1 today, I bet you I'm long tomorrow. If we break $1, go short sell restricted, then it's SSR tomorrow, reclaims the buck, that's a setup I like. So watch out for Nikola. Is it already SSR? It might already be. Is it already SSR?
Which stock?
Nikola. Yeah, it might be actually.
Yesterday, right? Or?
120 closed at 1. Yeah, it probably is. McCarnes, it's already SSR. Well, in order for it to be SSR tomorrow, then I want it to continue another day. Yeah. So yeah, if it's already SSR, maybe I don't like that short at 99. Okay, if it gets to $1, there's probably going to be 1 million shares on the bid. 500,000 I can see. So probably 1 million shares on that bid. I'll have a look at that. Why not? Like, there's not much else if you're trying to grab longs, to be honest with you. Everything else stinks if you're trying to go long. So might as well be like a small cap gimmick trade.
Yeah, we got stopped out, unfortunately. We have to flush ourselves down the toilet right there for our Google trade. We tried to protect it. We talked about that. It broke through 138, took down that 137.90, which was the level that we were talking about there. And then once that hit, we got out of it. Now it's coming back upside a little bit here for Google. And then Meta, I mean, again, it's the same story, man. It breaks. I mean, we didn't really lose anything on this trade, man. We re-upped it in there. We had a little bit of shares left. Our last load was at 20, and then we got out right at the break. We're not even all the way down here. Like our stop, I can actually tell you what it is. I think it was 98s or something like that. Meta 93s. So we got a decent stop there. Now it's back up, but this is kind of where our long was, right? Our long was 22s. So just back in there, we got stopped out on the push down, and the NASDAQ did make a new low there, and it actually touched. It didn't really. It went down to 15,026, and as you were just talking with some of those traders in the chat there, this is at a major level of 15,000 right now. So we're going to watch out here. I did get into an AMD short. We're now below this 102 level, 102 level. So, you know, wanted to think about this. It's down 3 and a bit percent. If we break higher, we can get out again. It's 10 cents worth of a shot here. I think we can get back into the downside here. Those lows, I mean, we need to get there first, but what are those lows exactly? That's 90s, or sorry, that's 73. So it's worth it. I think there's a chance there, a nice little bump up. Really getting frisky, I mean, you can get up to like 20s maybe, that's 10s, that's 22. I don't know, man. We haven't been. I heard Sharif say earlier that he wasn't really reading the market that well. It's not that we're not reading the market well. I feel like it's fine. It's just right now the market's just kind of going back and forth here, trying to give us a bottom. Let's go see about that 15,000. Maybe that's the only time, like you mentioned, either a trade like a Nikola or something where you're able to reload it a little bit more with confidence down at a key level.
Yeah, because it's like gimmicky, so you're hopefully not following the market. That's when I say the word gimmicky. Like what I'm really meaning is something that is not dependent on, like if it's a long, then I don't care if the ES or the NASDAQ is breaking to the downside, right? So small caps, low float runner, SSR bounce. Like Rivian, I just got into Rivian, so Rivian did tag SSR. I missed the fact that this happened. It went to 1790, which is down 10%. So, and then it made a double bottom. Thankfully, was able to just see it right back above the 18 level. I just got 02s. I don't know why I didn't get 01s. Slipped by a penny. So I'm looking for this to bounce. If it breaks 10, takes them out. If it gets to quarters, fine. If it gets to VWAP, I doubt it because it's too late in the day. And SSR bounce early in the day, I'm thinking VWAP 100%. Like that's the target. Hold 10% in case it breaks VWAP. But at this point, the chances that this has enough juice to get to VWAP is, to me, very, very slim. So you take what you can get. The bottom is 1790, so you know what your R&R is very simply. Like if you go long twos, you're out at 90s. The second we get in the teens, I want it out. The second we get into the quarters, I want it out. Netflix, that's a lot of Netflix short. Why, Lenny?
Why, Lenny? Why?
No. You don't have to spam the chat. We'll get to it. Do I think it's a short right here? I generally don't like going against like a power hour directional move going into earnings. I just want to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like it's trying to break the trend here. So if this was the same setup in AMD, I'd be shorting this if this was AMD or like maybe something else. AMD is the first thing that came to mind. But for Netflix going into the earnings when it's this far down, like Netflix has been getting smoked on the daily going into this. So if there's a bit of a relief going in, I feel like risk off for anyone that's in it in the short term would be buying back out of this, right? Like risk off if you've been doing anything, if people are in the money short, not the other way. So if they're taking profit, buying back out. So I would almost expect a bit of a bounce play. Not enough to go long, I'm not doing that, but I kind of like that above 350 earlier. But yeah, I'm not going to take that trade, but my explanation doesn't have to mean anything to you. You got to trade your own book, do your own thing. So I'm in Rivian and still looking for any kind of a pop. Maybe I don't want it if I get picked up here in AMD. Like the longer this consolidates, the more I don't want to just be sitting out here on the offer to get whacked. Right? Like if it was going to give me the fills in there, like either I should be getting in aggressively. Yeah, it's like, but why? I don't want to sit on the offer. Like I should be just getting fills, let it come up and then hit the bid.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's the market's just doing its damn thing. Like we could have just got out right there at 80. Well, it was at 82, 83. I put a bid there, then it just ripped up into the 90s again, and we took some more short right here into AMD. This is just a slippery slope. We're going to get stopped out here if it takes out 102. So seeing it's false. I mean, it's not. I'm saying like, oh, here we go, but it's not doing anything. It's just chilling out right now, and I just don't want to hold this all the way back up. We're trying to just play some small ranges right now into AMD, so just a recent short there at 95, just trying to play within the range. So, look, I'm still pretty excited for Tesla earnings. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a tradable event when the earnings come out, obviously, but you know, I think for tomorrow we're setting up quite nicely here for Tesla because we've just recently took down, as you can see, the 50-period moving average, and you're getting into an area, and we talked about this with Randy, I think earlier, and Neil and I mentioned it today, into this level of sort of, you know, this 220, 215 area. We've had a nice little dip buy opportunity into there, and then we ripped up into 290. We just made 52-week highs of 299.95 or something like that, right up there back in July. So, you know, now we'll get through that whole summer, and then we'll see where we're going from there. I feel like there's been some decent news, at least, about Tesla recently. You know, they've lowered some of the prices of their vehicles. I think that that's been pretty good. I think there's still the federal subsidies there down in the U.S., which has been pretty good. I am nervous about China. I have to get some out of AMD because this is nice. But, you know, I'm a little bit worried about what they're going to say about China and a possible slowdown there because we've already seen AMD and Netflix, AMD and NVIDIA get hit on these restrictions. I'm just nervous that if, you know, slowdown in China is something that they may talk about on one of the calls. So I'm not too worried about the current quarter, more worried about what we have to look forward to on their guide, if they guide at all. Are they a company that guides? Some have stopped guiding.
A lot of companies don't guide anymore.
So I don't know. We'll have to look into that. We did
Off the
get
top
out
of my
of
head, I'm not
Google
sure.
there. Came back.
One thing here. Okay, so Rivian's starting to go, but needs to break 10s, and then I take the first out. But ICU did make a nice hold of this 75 area, at least for now. Like broke up, a little bit of a volume spike, showing you some continuation signs. It would be nice if it would, you know, the bid would actually stack up here. There's not much on the bid until you get to like 74 even. But yeah, if that starts to hold, I kind of like ICU. Again, this is just another like low float runner type of idea. So, all right, wet the beacon here. I think you're not wrong. At least I don't think I'm wrong until 72 breaks. So I want to make sure I have a stop out. There's only 35 minutes or 33 minutes till the early look on the imbalances. The imbalances, early look in less than that, and we have less than 45 minutes till the close at this point. So, you know, these trades, I'm going to have a hard stop. This is not holding it into VWAP or 10% against. I'm going to have a hard, tight stop on something like this, even if I think it has a chance to get back to 80, and if it broke 80. Wow, we will. The reason I like in this, because if it breaks the 80 even, I just got into AMD. If it breaks this even, 80 even, there's a lot of room to the upside. I'd rather be long going into that than anything else. So let's see what happens. If 2 cents is too tight of a stop or 2.5, then fair enough. I'm willing to get out. I put that order back in at 102 on AMD and then promptly got filled. So now it's starting to come in here. Just as I get in, the market decides to turn.
I know. I had to get out, man. It broke through that 102.
I'm going to get this out of the way. Like, after I just said that about, like, Netflix, yeah, it's like it's not even going. I would expect on a bounce that Netflix would be going more than this. It's not really zooming to the upside. Again, short, like, covering to me would be short covering. Rivian, this is an SSR bounce, so we'll ring the register there, but AMD's probably going to be a bad short, so is what it is. Market seemingly wants to bounce at this key support level. We'll go quarters as the next out on Rivian. So this is an SSR play. The market bouncing might matter here. I don't think it matters a ton.
Now it's going back down, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I don't know.
We went back into meta. Like, see, this is the thing. You got to be careful with the amount of shares that you're trading right now, because if you trade less shares, this is just for no matter what your default is. 1,000 shares, cut it down to like 200. You know, 100 shares, cut it down to 20. Like, whatever you want to do. It's pretty choppy right now. We have the big reports coming after market. Like, I just got out of AMD. Well, first of all, now it's right where it is again. So, like, look, this is the kind of choppiness I'm talking about. Here I am getting filled down here. Remember we just went short 95? Here I am getting filled 82s, 79s. We're like, all right, here we go. And then this is a 1 minute candle. We got stopped out in that exact 1 minute. So that's, that's part of the problem coming in there, So it's like now we're back into the money, well, not back into the money, but back into a much more reasonable spot right there. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Let's flip back over into Meta then. Meta's been holding this 318. Well, now let's see. Now we're going to see if it's holding or not. We're long here at 318.25.
Yeah, so I'm in it though too. The quarter level is local high there, so that's where I want to get at. Once it gets in the 80s, I'll take one out there and then see where it goes. FFIE is starting to die down a little bit. It did a nice little liquidity grab here. Like here's 167, one little wick under. There was a bit of a buyer there, as you can see. It held there for about, I don't know, like 9 minutes, and then one wick under. Now it's starting to catch a bit. The volume I don't like. So don't necessarily want to reload this. Let it move into the upside here. With 40 minutes to go, if it gets back to the local high, take some out. And then if it breaks higher, just sort of play it by ear if it breaks the high of the day. So the new position was AMD. We also grabbed this ICU. That's probably just going to, okay, it bounced off 73 nicely. That's why I want to give it to 72. 72 the previous high. If you can break this consolidation, then I want at least 1 or 2 outs in front of 80. But you gotta, I'm not saying you gotta, I'd like to hold on for the dream that 80 breaks. Because the 80 break on this is the real one. Like if this thing gets through 80 on the daily, I think you can really go. First things first, it has to break this consolidation. Hampton's Trader, Sassy Defense 5 might be good. Well, it'll be good without me because there's no way I'm trading this one. Already, like you at 320, 4 positions is not usually, been already in a couple of small caps. $5 is a good level on it, but this looks like a flat bottom break, and the attention seems like it's elsewhere in small cap world. Like this one's not busted VWAP by 320. I don't know if it's got that juice. Usually something has happened on these by now. If it was going to, it would have done so by this point. So unfortunately, it's up 30%. I'm not saying it's been bad today, but most of the day since noon has been to the downside. I'm not completely writing it off. It's just not for me right now.
All right, we got some out there. We're flirting around like zeros for Meta. I mean, it's like so frustrating, man. We're long here at 20. We just got some out at 30s. Like, come on, man. Let's go. Like, I don't have any more offers until 50. And then after that, we go a lot higher, and we'll see if we can get something out back near the 50 period into the 60s and 70s, and then hopefully a nice little move higher. What we're trying to do right now, and we talked about this earlier, which is why sometimes we say, look at futures maybe for just a few trades, because we can still trade equity, look at some key levels, meanwhile holding on to a futures contract as well. I mean, there's different ways you can do this. But we said about breaking through this 15.1, and if we did that, then we're probably going to see a 15,000 test. So that's come pretty close, man. We got down to 15,025. Looks like it's trying to go a little bit lower right now as I'm talking. But, that's going to be one of those levels again that we may be having to look at this tomorrow, 15. If it holds, that's great. Hopefully we can hold and close a little bit higher than where we are right now. As far as getting positive on the day, that's going to be tough for this market. But for right there, nice little bounce, nice little retracement there. We can see we're getting a little excited now with Meta going back up to the upside. NASDAQ's down 1.3. It's down actually a little more than I thought it was. So yeah, we're probably not getting back to Positiveville anytime soon. But this is a good trade for me. See, now we're in the money now on Netflix. So, or on Meta here on the day. So, we've been going back and forth with it. Little hyper on this stock today, but we're starting to settle down here. Try to hold the long and see if something pops into the close. I mean, that's my best guess here, that maybe we get back a little bit of this. Again, like,
the market,
Tesla's a big boy.
The market's been trying to go. In a second, Hampton's Trader, I'll get to ICU, but the market's been trying to go. I got to show the NASDAQ because after Eduardo pointed it out, you are still trying to reclaim this. It's not just the week's bottom. You got to go into Friday. Like it was the Friday low. You go all the way back into last Monday. It's the price that we broke out from, just above this 15,000. So it's not an insignificant level. I'm going to get stopped out at 5 cents of AMD. So you'll see my last short probably get out of the way just there. So just quickly explaining ICU again. Let's go to the 3-minute because that's where I like to see it. Unlike, what was the other one? There's the 80 break. Okay, don't fail this break. I don't want it to fail the 80 break. I'm gonna trail some out underneath 79 just in case it fails this 80 break. That'll be half. We have a key that actually allows us to put a stop out for a quarter or half or 100%. I love that key because it allows you to manage risk in a different way. See, like right there, like it failed the 80 break, and I threw that stop in knowing that I wanted to get out half of what was remaining if it failed that break, and then hold on to the next half just for that little bit of a dream. So explaining the trade again, this actually busted VWAP unlike SPCE or whatever we call that stock, and then consolidate above. Now, ideally, when it makes this consolidation, like this long in here would be the perfect one, like it's 70 cents, but I wasn't in it. You guys were the ones that said this stock was breaking out, so I'm noticing it late. It then broke to 72, allow it to consolidate off that level, play the consolidation long to the previous high. If it takes out the high of the day, then you're already in the trade. So if I think the stock is strong or one of those low floaters, that's step one. Okay, so it is kind of strong. And step two, just look for a long entry. That's an entry off the 3 minute. Like that's not an entry at all off a 5 or 15 minute chart or a higher time frame. Now I want to see it bust this 80 level. I've already trailed out some of this after it broke, failed or looked like it was failing. Now I just want to see how far it can go. Like I'll probably put offers in front of 85 and then see how far this one wants to take us. While that was going on, Rivian here continued that bounce up. It got to 823 or such and took some out there in front of the quarter. So the SSR bounce on Rivian is working. I don't think this sees VWAP. There's like 35 minutes left in the day. The market hasn't been that strong. This name has been an absolute dumpster fire. So I think if it gets into the 30s, I think we just take that one out, try to ring the register on this. We're running out of time today on this day. It should be a while after. I mean, the aftermarket's going to be wild. It'd be nice if we could have some, let's get a move here. Like, I would love to see a good bounce. Obviously, the fall through to the downside. At this point, I don't want to happen, but you never really know in this market. Pay yourself out on these longs because we haven't really seen them hold up. And I don't think ICU is going to make it to $1 Stano. Like, if I was that confident in it, I'd take more. I'd have been adding to the position much more here. I'd have been adding on it. Like, if I think it's going to $1, I'm adding on 80 instead of worried that it's going to fail that break. So I think $1 is something I would look for tomorrow if it can manage to hold above 80 cents and then worry about that level when you get to it. Oleg, SoFi, please, free fall.
It is.
There's been a lot of free falls today. So, that's not great. SoFi already at 6%. Yeah, wow, I didn't realize SoFi broke this support. So SoFi, that's not good. I like the 200 period actually bounced nicely at $7 on SoFi. So if you're looking for a positive in SoFi, not that there is much of one, riding the 50 to the downside. It bounced the last time off the 200 period moving average. That's what I would look for tomorrow. Can it hold the 200 period, which is now sitting at 718, 717. It didn't get there last time. So a bounce off the quarters would look pretty good at this point. Super SPAC man in there. Would you trail more out of Rivian overall trend? Once it does this move, I like to stop right at the even dollar at 18. Right? Like before, when you're taking an SSR bounce, a lot of times it's like give it to the local bottom. Like go long here, give it to that low. Once it breaks out, the stop goes into the break even. Well, I'm long at 02s, but the long goes into 18, which is essentially break even. Or the stop goes in to 18.
All right. All right. Actually blew up the wrong thing right there. Okay, join me tonight. We have a big show. That's what I was trying to do, is trying to get over to my Twitter account right here. We have a big show coming forward, man. We have Chris Bretcher. He wants to talk about 0-day options. So if you guys want to hear all about how he trades 0-day options. He wants to talk about the triple Qs. Did you know they expire at 4:15 is what he was telling me? So he wants to talk a little bit about that today. And then, of course, we have Tesla and Netflix still to come. So at 4:15, I think Tesla's actually 4:05. And then I think Netflix is more near 4:30. We'll try to stay late. As you guys know, that's the hashtag Traders Stay Late. So we'll do that tonight. So join me with Chris at some point there. He'll be joining me around 4:15. So as earnings, hopefully for Tesla, will already be out. And we'll have those live. So there's no other place to get those as fast as we will have them for you live on air tonight at 4:05-ish for Tesla, LVS as well out tonight.
Yeah,
Netflix.
LVS.
There's a few good names
Lamb.
coming through right now. Lamb Research, yeah, it keeps on going and going. Do we have that earnings board? If we can call that up in a couple minutes if or when we get it. We're waiting for those market on close and balances as here goes Meta breaking lower. I'll talk about that. I was just going to give you my stop somewhere up here, the 60 wick. Up there for Intel. So we do have a nice short still on from Intel from the morning. We're near the bottom of the day. No surprise there as the NASDAQ is literally going lower, lower, lower right now. But all right, so Neil was mentioning about fading the pops. I mean, we got this long into VWAP. VWAP's way up here into the 50-period moving average. So again, a good couple takes there. You know, when we're getting long down here at 318 flat, which is where we're long right now, and getting them out in the 50s, 60s, our best out is 66. That's 60 cents worth. So now we're out of the money, 25 cents, and we're going to take this out at the bottom of 317.50. So roughly 50 cents worth of risk on this one with a little bit of a reload, hopefully coming soon on this Meta. But yeah, sure, Ramin, let's go. Let's have a quick look to see what is on the board here tonight.
Yeah, as mentioned, we all know about Tesla and Netflix. Lamb, we just said, Las Vegas Sands. Tomorrow morning, I wouldn't look. You can't sleep on American Airlines because UAL was so violent that if it does half that percentage, I think that's that's worthy of an opportunity to trade at least. So it's a big earnings board. It only gets bigger like this. Earnings season, this is the first big week, and then it just gets bigger and bigger after that. The next 2 weeks are going to be absolutely gigantic for earnings. But we get a really good start today, so stick around for the recap show because it's like, yes, it's a recap show, but like ish is going to be happening.
Yeah.
Today, it's like things will happen. I got to point out Las Vegas Sands here. It's not that anyone's going to trade aftermarket when this reports, but flat bottom break. This has been in a bit of a free fall. And you look at the levels here, like if it does not hold on to this consolidation, you could be looking at a potential bounce zone, which underneath 40 on this stock, sometimes I love the weekly. I love the weekly because it shows you where accumulation is in this stock. And like obviously 30 level, but once it gets under 40, there's all kinds of accumulation, and then you get a run to the upside. The same way it just sort of sells off at the 60 level. So if this were to get into those 40s, like that's like underneath the 40 level, that's generally been a really good buy zone for this. Let me just double click it. What I love about Trade Ideas, I can double click and then it just automatically pops right back into my layout. Like how cool is that? Like that's a really nice feature. I can pull it out and it's full screen for you guys and I double click it and it just pops right back into my layout like absolute magic. I love people that code well. So ICU, I'm still holding on. I trailed some out when it failed 80 briefly, but it's still on the move to the upside. I got offers in front of 85. First one 83. Next one will be actually in front of that 85. Looking to ring the Reggie there. I've trailed on both. Okay, we just got one. Let's go. Congratulations. And then FFIE, this is starting to slow down. It's like money goes, like one starts breaking and the other one stops going. That's how it works with these small caps. I've now tightened my stop. I'm not reloading this. I'm out if it breaks 165. It can't be a loser at this point. The thing that can be a loser is the short in AMD, which somehow did not run stops, missed me by 1.5 cents or 2 cents, and is coming back in. If it breaks 102, I'm just starting to get out. I have not, the early look on the imbalances, I just saw it. 127 million to the buy side. So nothing burger on the imbalances, at least for now. AMD, I'm in it at 02, so I'm giving it to the quarter. It doesn't seem to want to move. I hate your guts. But at least it's arrows to the upside in small cap land. So thank you, everybody, for ICU. Like it started going. I'm sure a lot of people would have been long here because 70 is better, obviously. But it consolidated here, 74. I just said it's not getting to $1, which basically means it's going to be getting to $1 because I'm going to end up being wrong about that. That's how I roll. But I'm going to be all out if it gets anywhere close to that. Next stop, 90 cents. I'm getting an offer in front of 88. I like the symmetry. I like the move here. I did not say this, and this bears mentioning. ICU, the float, is nonsensical. It is 6 million share float on a penny stock. Like it's not even trading at like $5. It's a 6 million float, and it's 85 cents. That's ridiculous. That's why it's going like this, because the float is tiny, and it's done 150 million, so you better believe it's soaked up and now going absolutely nuts. Hampton's Trader ICU breaking one tomorrow. Good long, we'll take that. Hey, I'm not here to predict whether it's going to be at $1, but you know me and the dollar level, we're generally speaking going to trade it unless I'm asleep or something. Sometimes what'll happen is you're distracted by what you think are better ideas. Like I'll see a trade in Tesla or something, and then I'll miss this at $1. It happens, but that's the only thing or excuse not to trade the dollar level if we see that tomorrow on ICU.
So like, I don't know. I was looking to see. I mean, it's almost like there was some kind of a news story there. Like, I was thinking to myself, I was just thinking, okay, where am I getting out on the top here for Meta? We just started to really climb, and this is a 1 minute chart. So like right there, we were getting out at 318.10, and then all of a sudden it just dropped about 80 cents there in 1 minute, like the largest move, and that stopped me out, and I got back in right here, right now. I feel like there's going to be news pretty soon here on Meta because the market is not doing that. The market's going higher right now. This Meta should be printing long, and it is not. So we're going to have to be very, very careful here on possible story coming out soon. I don't know what about Meta here because I feel like this had no business going down like that. So we're going to have to be very, very, hold our cards close now because I don't know. Well, we've been holding it close the whole day, but that seems a bit strange to me. Like, what did Apple do anything? No, like Apple's, see, that's what I'm saying. Apple's going up, Google trying to go up, AMD going up, Meta going down.
Hey, my chat's
yeah, what happened?
Not to interrupt, but like I tried responding to Matt Carnes there. He asked, because I was just talking about ICU and $1, and sometimes you get distracted. And he asked if our platform had alerts. We do have alerts on our platform, as my stop's about to hit on AMD. We have alerts on the platform, but I don't use the audio alerts while on the show. Like I can have it do something as audio, but we've got the production crew on the intercom here, and that's tied in on the PC. So I don't set my trading audio alerts there. You can, I do have alerts set up, but I need to be watching the stock in that particular moment. So unfortunately, like it's not perfect. Like if you trade here and you're not doing a show with an earbud for a production crew, then you can just sit and it'll ding you when it hits a level or whatever the heck you want it to do. Like I actually think you can put music as well. Like if you just input
Sure.
whatever you want. Like it's very customizable. We just don't use it because we have these guys in our ear, and there's like an intercom system we use. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow me to use the audio alerts, but I should set one for when that stock gets to 95 cents. Of course, that's what you do. If you want to trade the dollar, then that's what you do. If it takes 80, which it's about to right now, I am out of ICU. Come to the chart. It got to 85. You got to be happy with 74 to 85. If you're not, then don't trade penny stocks. If it breaks 80, I am all out of this one. I might give it half a cent underneath there, but let's be real. I thought 80 was the big level anyways, and every time I say AMD is about to break the quarter, it just doesn't break the quarter. Like this is that wick, also previous low, and it gets up there, doesn't quite break it out, so I have not been stopped out despite thinking it's been imminent for the last little bit here. Yeah, that was the one short we put on, and now, of course, it's going to break out. Thank you very much, AMD.
Yeah, I'm getting frustrated with Meta here too because like we're long now at 44s. We're just flat on the trade. We could just, like if I'm that upset about it, I could just get out right now. It was 10 cents against me. We could have just got out. Even right now, you can get out here if you want to. I don't know. It's just like this name just continues to go down despite what the market is trying to do. We just already did that sort of look at all the other names going back up to the upside. Look at AMD. AMD's cruising. Like if this has gone up the way I sort of was trying to trace with the market here, then we would be really bumping. But it's just an excuse at this point. We can see clearly it is not working out. So I'm going to take some out here. Darn it. I just changed up. There it goes. There goes the break. Big break to the downside. I feel like maybe right now it's too late to flip short, but there's the break. We just talked about it. Like there's something going on here. Meta continues to go the other way, and when the market does crank to the downside, it's going to go as well. So there goes Meta. I guess maybe shorting other weak names here. How much time is left? 3:37. Not much left in the day. You could go short AMD against those levels right now, but again, we should have sensed that something was up there with Meta when we got dropped out at that 318. So we had to pay an extra $1 to find out exactly what it was, but I don't know. Now it's breaking down below 317 and not looking very healthy on that one. Yeah, Meta's at yesterday's close, says Daryl. So, yeah, is it? Yesterday's close. It's already down 2% here today. So, no, not at yesterday's close. Is it? We'll have to look at that. Here's Meta right here. So, Yeah, I guess we're
It might
back
be.
down to yesterday's. That's yesterday's open, I think. Oh, there's yesterday's close. Yeah, that came in wild.
No, it closed at 324 yesterday.
That's what I was gonna say. 'Cause it's down 2%. So I feel like he's talking sort of a couple days ago into here, 316.50 ish. I don't know.
It's definitely counter-trend because the market
Now
was
it's going up,
bouncing
of
there.
course.
Like I'm sitting there like looking over. Well, I just typed AMC instead of AMD. That's a little weird. I haven't even traded AMC today. I don't have much of an excuse for that. But finally, like the market's bouncing, so I know I got stopped out on AMD there, and it's what it is. Like there's a little bit of a bounce happening in the market. It's not a big one. It's pretty shallow, but it's enough to get me out. I do not see myself getting into AMD again or jumping back in the trade. We got 20 minutes to go. This is a manage what you're in type of time of day. As I mentioned, Faraday stopped moving, so it pops up even a little bit, takes them out. I'm going to get an offer at the high of the day in case it wants to go. This was okay, but the one that obviously went here was ICU. You don't really know when you get in that, like which one's going to get to the high of the day or not. You just take the setup, and sometimes it's a little bit, and other times it makes a bigger move to the upside. That's what you got to look for. Just look for the opportunity. And then Rivian is still holding, but it's about to break 18. So it got up to the quarter, not bad, but I'm going to be out if it breaks 18 even. So a little bit of a SSR bounce here for Rivian. DJ K just said Lulu's headed sub 400. Sorry. If Lulu was headed for $100,
I'm buying.
No, but that would be because it reverse split.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to $100. Obviously, if it did, we'd all buy it. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Actually,
buy
if
that.
Lulu got to $100, something like things have happened where I'm not concerned about the market. You know what I'm saying? Like if this stock without reverse split got to $100, I'm probably more worried about getting to my in-laws and zombie apocalypse. They have a bunch of land up north, and then I'm more chill, nobody around. So when like the world comes to an end, like I'm good, man. I got into one of those types of families. Get your shoddy, and then you just sort of protect yourself, that kind of thing. But Lulu's not going to 100. It's 400 that it could be getting to. Technically, it's a good level. No chance I would sit on that bid at 340, but I see what you're getting at here. Like recent breakout, fantastic stock. It's in the midst of a dip. The next thing you look for is a consolidation around the previous high. So I guess that would be next. Maybe you look for that tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's about time to start to look somewhere else. I'm just watching Meta just continue to go down right now. It's too bad. It's like we get not stopped out. Well, I guess we did get stopped out of Intel. That's kind of not doing anything. It looks like it's just really Meta that's trying to make the moves down. Google again, kind of bouncing off some of these levels. There's a nice push down. See, this is basically what we should be doing, is looking for names that are pushing like this and getting near the bottom just to try to play for a quick bounce back up. But again, like, what is Tesla doing? I bet you it's Tesla that's really... No, I mean, Tesla's
It's
holding
not really.
upside. What's Netflix doing here? Into earnings.
NVIDIA.
Load 345. 345 is kind of high for Netflix right now. Well, actually, on the daily, obviously, we know the story of Netflix. This is why we think they probably missed, because it's a subscriber growth on the revenue sharing side, the ad sharing, where you have to watch ads for a little bit of a lower price. They're saying the U.S. wasn't the turnover that they thought would be. Either password sharing hit it too hard, or we're just going to find out, if they've been able to get. I forget the stat, but they rarely miss on the subscriber growth number. So I believe they're off of it from before. Here we go. Some news maybe on Meta. They're bringing broadcast channels to Facebook and Messenger. Broadcast channels.
Fun?
Yeah, we knew something maybe was going to hit there.
That's
Still,
nothing too big.
Nah, nothing going on there, but that looks like that's what that is. So, Zuck bringing back broadcast channels. Yeah, so we'll see. There's lots of groups and stuff that people are part of. I think MLB had something maybe with Meta or Facebook or something. There's some good possibilities there. I feel like also with the Meta Quest and things like that, pretty interesting possibilities there. Still can't believe that we had written down here 324 short on Meta today. And that was my first trade of the day, 324 short on Meta. Now we're all the way down.
Like this market, when we get to the top, what's the next thing that happens? It's like every single day this week, and maybe to an extent last week, like when the market makes it to reasonable highs. It was just a turnaround. Like, you couldn't take 15.2 today. That's just how it is. A couple of updates. I said I wouldn't get anything new, just sort of manage what we have. First things first, 18 on Rivian got taken out. So decent bounce off the SSR bounce, but it was never getting to VWAP. Way too weak. Rivian got destroyed today. The mistake was maybe not being, I don't mind getting out, it's not getting back in. Like, there's nothing wrong with getting out of a trade. It's just when it sets right back up into the short several times, especially here, like that's off this low, that short's way better. You know, here's an easier short than here, I would say, because you have a big rejection at 1860. Anyways, we're out of that one. It was a little bit of a long, I don't think it was anything crazy, but you can get a decent bounce on the SSR, it's great. 80 does not hold on ICU, so the 74, you definitely had a nice pop off the 80 level. It got to 85, 85 change, but I'm now out of that one. It's just FFIE that for whatever reason, like now this one is going to the high, but I'll be out if it takes the high of the day. This is very slowly creeping up. Good trade. As I said, a lot of times you have to structure, if you miss the big move like here through 150, you have to try to structure something with a tighter stop because you're chasing the move. So you risk it back into this level. It shows you a bottom at 160. You go long into that level. If it gets to 175, great. Your stop out's underneath 160. But the 150 is obviously better. But in both those cases, I missed the breakout. Don't take the high of the day. Take the dip and consolidation into the trend as we go to the desk to take care of some business.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
It feels like this is the day. This is what we haven't seen. We have not seen the day where the short followed through. And now all of a sudden, it's not a great sign because we're going into the big earnings. This is the ES. Probably not telling you anything you don't know. Down 1.5. The NASDAQ absolutely cracked. Yeah, cracked that 15.5. You just cracked 15,000 to the downside as well. So, Randy is 3 for 3. He is 3 for his last 3 in terms of when he decides what we're bear or bull. He's been dead right. And even if it, like when the market was looking like it was strong, it's just, nope, Randy said bear. It is still a bear. Congratulations if you got some shorts on hanging on to them. This is the kind of day the only thing going up are gimmick stocks and a couple of bellwether type names. Like Procter's having a good day because it ain't tech.
Yeah.
You know, but there's, you can see right there, look at big tech. Apple 0.5%, Microsoft 0.5%, everything else. Nvidia getting trounced. You know, it's weird. Like if we have like every name but Tesla there. It's like the 6th. I guess we can't fit the 7th in there. But it ain't like Tesla's having a good day.
Or Netflix. You gotta have Netflix and Tesla up there for earnings.
Yeah, well, so Tesla 4.5%, which is worse than all of those. Netflix bounced, so the only reason, you know, Netflix had a bit of a bounce. Actually, it's right back at the low. So Netflix down at 3%. Even this couldn't hold up. Yikes. Not a good day for the overall market, but hey, the shorts definitely paid you out if you held on to them. Difficult to hold on the way the market has been going. It's been range bound, so taking things out at the lows is what it is. We get Netflix after the bell tonight. If this is any sign, I kind of thought it would be a relief rally in Netflix because it was so weak going into earnings. That was very short-lived. But who knows? We'll see.
We just we flipped into the short and we made nearly $1. Actually, we pretty much did make $1 right there. We made 90 cents. Like, this is why I was saying under my breath that it's just embarrassing because, like, we at 318, and thank you, Super SPAC Man, there saying that if I just stuck to my sticky note, yeah, trust me, I know. But the thing is like, at 318, I remember, not the time, the price of the stock up here, that was 319, but, you know, when it was back up here, remember, I was like, something's not, you know, something's up with Meta, and it just doesn't feel like it's the whole market collapsed for sure. But I feel like Meta, now it's trying to catch a bounce, but felt like Meta was really the worst out of all of them. Just kept on going to the downside there, almost straight down like $3. And without really too many stopping spots there, we were able to catch some longs. But then finally that short came in. We got it at 40% of it. The first spot was at 316, made 60 cents within a heartbeat, and then down there to 315.70. What's up, Brendan?
Just quickly, I reached out to our friend Michael Noss over at Trade Ideas, and he fixed our landing page. So a few people mentioned that this was not on it. So if you go to trade-ideas.com /trade Trader TV Live, Trader TV-Live, this will now come up. So you get, it's $11 for 2 weeks, guys, but you actually get 20% off the $11 as well. So can't be beat. Go check it out.
That's even
That's
better.
a cup of coffee, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
Put that $2 in your pocket.
You save $2 here.
Yes, that's what I tell my kids, man. Save $2 here.
Go
save $2
somewhere
there,
else,
baby.
I'm telling you, because if you go to the dollar store now, it ain't $1. You need that.
There's nothing there $1.
You need that $4. So you save $2. Go. So I don't know where else you're gonna go and save that $2.
My daughter came to me yesterday and said she needed $4 for spits, those sunflower seeds. I was like,
I know, man.
what kind of crack prices are these? Like, I thought they used to be $1 for
Hey, but better
those
than
packs are. I was like, $4?
better than the chew. Like I grew like what?
Chew, dude. Yeah.
Dude, when I was playing ball, like
She's 9.
when I was playing ball, there were
Tobacco?
14 and 15. I'm not making this up.
Oh, yeah, I know, but she's
when
9.
when I played for the city, there were kids that were doing the chew.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
like it's a problem in baseball. So like you had to have the sunflowers and get them early on the seeds, and then they're not going to get into that nonsense.
She's all about that, man. No,
one of our buddies, I won't
trip,
say his name,
no
but
trip.
you know him, and he was.
Oh, I know lots of guys used to have that. You go with your fingers like this on the cans. Yeah, I'm all about
That was a problem, man. I'm
all
just
about
saying.
that life.
You got to start on the seeds early. That way, you're not even bothering with it. Like Mike, like they're doing seeds in like T-ball right now.
Yeah, man, the
It's all
seed
about-
game is strong.
Because they just see
Right now.
they see the stars doing it, and they're like, "What are they chewing?" I'm like, "They're eating sunflower seeds," and then you show them how to do it, and they're like,
That's my true side hustle, sunflower
it's all
seeds.
about.
They're like, you plant those things, they grow like crazy, you harvest that up. You know what I mean?
and then bank.
That's the bang. Yeah, exactly. Boom, David sunflower.
I don't think you're worried about the sodium when you're chewing seeds.
There's a lot of
There
sodium.
is a lot of sodium in there. You guys,
There's
are absolutely.
dill pickle flavor. There's like seasoning.
Oh, imbalances are out.
Oh, shoot, it's $3.50 already.
It's $3.50. The imbalances are out. It's actually okay. Here I'm going to show you guys. There we get to sort. Like TLT is actually the biggest name on the NASDAQ here. 1.6 to sell on TLT. Annenbridge 1.6 to sell. Nothing in Visa, who cares? Apple 600,000, 700,000 to buy. AAL is to sell. That's not very big either, 700,000. Alphabet 570 to buy. AMD 570 to sell. This is very mixed, but Brendan just gave us 1.1 billion to buy.
Buy? Oh, no.
Yeah, but I was just like everything like one sell, one buy. It seemed very mixed to me. But yeah, 1.1 billion to buy with the market flushing. I'm not taking any
to
longs
find out
off
a
that.
sell
That's
here.
for sure. Like Amazon's a buy at 500,000. So it's very mixed board despite that 1.1 million to the buy side. I was just looking at Intel. Yeah, that's continuously making lows, down 1.5%. It's not even the worst thing out there.
We're, I didn't even realize the time here. So we're gonna get stopped out here at 317. We didn't put on any more shares or get too carried away here with our meta position, as it threw us for a ride here in the afternoon for sure. Again, once you can sort of feel that maybe there's something up, just gotta get away. You're right back to 317. It's just up and down $1, but when you're throwing money back, there he goes. We're throwing money back and forth at it. It's kind of like just blah. So we just kind of get short. We got out, I told you we got out at 40% there. We tried it again right now and then just stopped here again at 317 as Brendan brought those imbalances to us. I actually was completely taken off by that. I didn't even realize we were there. Let's get rid of the broker just to see if anything changed. I know Neil just did a little bit of a rundown there as well. Yeah, Enbridge, TLT. Okay, so same, little bit of the same here going through. I don't see, Google was a buy. I don't see Meta or Apple also a bid. Right there. I don't see Meta on here either. So Google, yeah, no, nothing for Meta, but Google's on there. Google with a nice bid, man, off that 138. So stupid. We should have had that as well. Nice move on Google there. I thought that's Goog. The one that I always has Google. Where were we buying that one? Okay, I was gonna say because 138 is all the way up there. Yeah, 137. So the difference there by the class of share. So Amazon's still low, man. 127. This is a little bit near where I bought some of this. I'm still down here at 125, and I didn't get anything out, obviously. I want to hold this for a long-term play.
So a couple of things here. Caesar in the chat. Sell imbalance and the stock goes up. Remember, imbalances don't mean, just because it's a buy imbalance doesn't mean the stock has to go up. It just means there's a net order imbalance into the auction.
Right.
Now, that can mean a lot of times that the stock might gravitate to the upside as it goes into that print, but a lot of times it's there so it can get paired off. There was also a question about why is Tesla down 5%. They do report tonight. The market is down, and it has been a little bit, whoops, I zoomed out way too far. It has been a little bit top heavy, lower highs on the daily, and it just took out the 50 period I'm not saying for good, but maybe in the short run if earnings aren't really good. So there's a lot kind of going against it here. The market momentum is going to be a part of it. I just got out of FFIE, so no more positions for me. Faraday does not quite make it to the high, but it got close enough there. Super SPAC, man, what is the implied move on earnings tonight in Tesla, Netflix? Actually, the source that I used to go to that was free continuously asked me to pay, but I just saw someone post it in the chat for Tesla.
What was it?
No, I just missed it. Oh, shoot. I swear I saw someone post it in the chat, and then I was trying to scroll to find it, and I could not. So give me a second. As I'm going to try to go to this site live, because the last time I did, I just went to like incognito mode. Like the source I use is, I like Y charts, and then there's also, what's the other one that we used to use? I'm trying to remember here off the top of my head. Options AI was the other one, but then they wanted me to pay for it. So I used to use Options AI. You can get off here. Like I just want to see if I can go into like
Trials or something.
I know, it's jokes. Like I shouldn't be doing this live. Go to incognito and see if it's going to make me pay. But I'll do that in a quick little second. In 1 minute, now that I mention it, in less than 1 minute, we are going to have 355 where you get the imbalances often pair off. When they pair off, you can get a bit of a reversal. In this particular case, a reversal would be a bounce to the upside because the market's been going down, but the number did come out a buy. So I'm looking for a bunch of big names to pair off, but the only big name here is Enbridge. TLT having an imbalance is meaningless. I've never seen it actually mean something or affect TLT. So even if it stays, which it just didn't, it's now gone, I wouldn't read too much into that. But in 10 seconds, you're going to get a bit of a flip, I think, and then we'll see if the market does a bit of a bounce. It's already bouncing going into it.
Yeah, we'll watch out here for it right now. And there it is. It's 355 right now. We'll see if anything's happening. BAC is still at the bottom there. AAL creating some action as well here. Nice little upside move there for AAL. Now 2 million. 2 million paired, 1 million still left on AAL as that's continuing to go back up to the upside right there as well. Just to check back, let's see what AMD is doing right now. Nice move again, you know, trying to go short there. Made a little bit of money on that short, but then got blown out now as we bounced pretty solidly now, but we didn't really bounce off 15,000. We're up to 15 right now, 15,030, but you know, that bounce, you had to, well, I guess you're up now 30 handles. The low was 20 handles. So if you took some sort of risk to reward, you're about 1-to-1, a little bit greater than that right now off that 15,000. So if you somehow knew to hold about 20 handles down, that was good because there it is, a nice move back up to the upside. And there it is, another fade one more time as Meta making a way back down. As some of these names are finally starting, there's Meta starting to go back down. There's the move back down. So on a little bit of a refresher there in the end of the day on that flip over. So we were probably a buy side. Now it's probably flipped over to a sell. So we'll have to see, like, no more. Apple's getting paired off right now, a small bid, so that wouldn't surprise me if that faded as well. Only 4 minutes. Join me and Chris in the market recap show. Plus, we've got Tesla, man. Let's see what Tesla's doing here right before I go over there. Tesla into the close. 243. So let's see. Let's see what happens here with Tesla today. It should be an interesting one.
Yeah, and a big bounce there at 55 on NVIDIA. Breaking 420, it just got up to 422. So if you're looking for the reversal, it might not have been in the place that you expected for that one. I kind of thought it would be in another name. Like Tesla was on those lows. You're going into earnings. Tesla barely moved. It went 50 cents, maybe 70 cents to the upside. It's right back into these lows. So Tesla still barcoding down 5% on the day. Intel had a nice bounce. When you look at that 355 event, this is what we're getting at. Like sometimes you will have a big time reverse in whatever the trend might be. You just don't always know where it's going to happen. You're not wrong about that, Roger. It's Stressla going into these earnings for sure, as weak as this has been. Certainly a nasty name. DJK, you know, is NVIDIA oversold? You know, I don't necessarily disagree with that notion. A lot of times when you get that heavy price action, you know, you get into oversold levels or in support on the daily, you're gonna find some buyers down there. It's not a given. Like plenty of things have gotten into there, and then you still consolidate off those bottoms. I want to shout out the fact that UAL is continuing to the downside. Don't forget, we're not done with the airlines, man. Like we're gonna have American, and that could be nasty. But keep in mind, when something's already down on sympathy, a lot of times if it's baked in, if it has a big swoosh to the downside, you could have a relief rally given how nasty this was in AAL. Only 2 minutes to go. Any stock you want to ask about, like, I don't mind. I'm not in position. It's not going to worry about it. Thoughts on PayPal looking to go long this thing soon? PayPal has been a dumpster fire. The only thing worse than PayPal's chart is Block's chart. Like, Block has been absolutely worse. The thing is, I don't know where growth is going to come from for these guys. All that said, it's at a decent consolidation level. I'm not going to pull up the weekly. There's really not that much time left, but you can see there's nothing about this is breaking the trend at this point. It's trying to consolidate and gliding lower, needs to take out 60 bucks. Like, if this breaks 60, close a couple days above the 60 level, and then this has something going. So a long consolidation in what has been an absolutely nasty chart there. J-Mott, yeah, charge point. All right, this is another. I don't know if you can't say something good. It's bouncing right now, but off of some of these lows, it's attempting to bounce off $3. But this is SSR. This is destroyed. I don't see any levels on this except for the fact there's an even $3, $2.50, $2, $1 because they're even levels. Everything else is just pissing in the wind because this is on an absolute tear to the downside. At some point, it's probably going to bounce. I just have no idea what's going to go on with charge point to cause it to bounce. So look for the even dollars. It's SSR, short sale restricted, so a $3 bounce tomorrow isn't ridiculous, but that's a gimmick trade. That's not a, this stock is heading back into the upside. That's a gimmick bounce like we had in Rivian today. Or maybe we'll have that in Nikola at $1 tomorrow. But, to me, those aren't like, you're not swinging that trade. You're in and out in a matter of seconds. Adair is going to be on the bell in about 15 seconds. Kevin Mendoza says, go Diamondbacks. I'm down with them as well. Buddy in my fantasy league is, he's in Arizona. So for him, I have no team or no dog in the fight. So I'm all down with it for the Diamondbacks winning. My team's out of it. But get the camera off me. Get to Adair because in 3, 2, and 1, ring it. I feel like the bell lost some oomph. Like, that was very light. There's like a piece of tape just sitting on the bell for no apparent reason. Like, what is going on? That's a little bit strange. But it's a wild one in the market. There was a slight bounce at the end of the day. So we're not exactly going to finish precisely on the lows, but that's a distinction without a difference. ES down 1.3. The NASDAQ down 1.3 and change. I'm going to assume the Dow is down. Frankly, I don't care about the Dow, but I'm assuming it's downside as well. Maybe fared a bit better because a couple of bellwether names did okay. But fantastic job as always on the ones and twos. Fabian and Ramin doing a great job. You've seen Randy, Rob, they've been running around building out some ideas for a potential new offering that we're going to have for you guys. We'll let you guys know all about that when it comes through. And as always, shout out to the midday. Fantastic job as always. Obi coming through with Sharif and then Adara, who you just saw there. Great job. We had our guest interview, another fantastic one from Brendan. Always looking to give you guys the best guess and keep you adrift of what the news is on that day. You know exactly what's happening next, and you know who I am. Big earnings coming through. So let's get to the desk with Sean. You got Tesla, you got NVIDIA, and more. It's the market recap.
We got a big one happening right now, right in front of us. It is Netflix. Netflix earnings now out. Let's go over to the screen right here as we go.